was our job to help law enforcement.
Bruh.
Prof is a fucking terrorist. Prof is a fucking terrorist. Prof is a fucking terrorist. A fucking pedophile, sympathizing, fucking terrorist.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
It was our job to help law enforcement.
Prof is a fucking terrorist. Prof is a fucking terrorist.
Fuck you.
Prof is a fucking terrorist.
Fuck you.
Prof is a fucking terrorist.
Fuck you.
It was our job to help law enforcement.
Oh my God!
Prof is a fucking terrorist.
Bruh. I'm legally blind.
It was our job to help law enforcement.
Oh my God!
Prof is a fucking terrorist. A fucking pedophile, sympathizing, fucking terrorist.
All right. Hello, hello. Check, check, check. Mic 1 2. Check 1 2. Is everyone hearing me? Because I don't know. I think this thing is working. So, welcome to Friday, y'all. Welcome to Friday, everybody. Look, hopefully everyone had a great day, a great Friday. You're looking forward to the weekend ahead. You're ignoring all the dumbasses on social media, except your relatives. You got to deal with them. But welcome in, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed my sarcastic relaying of our community members' sentiments. Man. They said the shit talking never stops. Hey, it's Delphi after all. It's YouTube. It's quote unquote true crime. So this is where we are. This is what we do. Wow. So I had a great day. Man, it was a long day. It was another one of those days that I sometimes mention to you where I just have all of these stops to make. So had to go out and do a lot. And all that's done. Okay, all that's done. So finally, I was able to get myself in a position to sit here tonight and do a little something. So, yeah, TGIF, right. Thank you, Laura. Anyhow, look, tonight's show is called Delphi, Jerry and the Truth, Part 1. And this is probably going to be about a 6-part series. Who knows? Depending on how much we can get through in each episode. But we're going to be embarking upon this thing. And anyway, those of you who missed last night over at Twitch, you might want to go catch that. It was just me and Mr. Sweet Dude Shibby discussing various things. And I appreciate you if you go over there and follow at Twitch. I'm trying to get up to 100 followers over there. It'd be nice to have a little community to do shit talking on Thursday nights. So go ahead, join me at Twitch. And for those of you who already have, thank you. Okay. Now, other than that, please check out this. Scrolling under me is the Buy Me a Coffee and the Coffee for Profit Cash App. You can support me with a one-time donation at Cash App. I appreciate that more than anything. And if you want to do a monthly basis, over there at Buy Me a Coffee. So those will be there scrolling for you if it should occur to you. Wow. So anyway, a lot of these people, they like to do the shit talking after 2 or 3 hours of quote unquote presentation of distracting material and bullshit. So they try to play slick and they try to present or pretend to present to you some sort of presentation of bad information, misinformation, and distraction. And then towards the end of that, they always like stepping into the drama, or they do it hidden behind a paywall on the members only. But, I don't do that. So I figure we'll start off with the shit talking. And let's be honest here. How do I know the haters watch and the lurkers lurk? Well, because every time I say something slightly triggering as a test, I wait for the next 24 to 48 hours to see, am I going to see results of the hate watching? And sure enough, every damn time, they cannot control themselves. So with that being said, these two fat old losers, they were whining about me today out of jealousy and just hate. And that was pretty funny. Apparently, I'm an idiot. Apparently, Prof's an idiot. And apparently, there is no troll farm. Although, that's undeniable. Even the troll farm admits there's a troll farm. And apparently, the mass leaker was not the mass leaker when all of that happened. Remember, after the bomb drop that was the Frank's memorandum, remember, I've said to you so many times, this Frank's memorandum dropped onto the Delphi community, and well, wouldn't you know it, immediately there's a bunch of leaks that are blamed on the defense, and then immediately a guy kills himself, and then immediately all the troll farm, every single one of them, is mass leaking these, sharing these photos amongst themselves, and they all blame it on the defense, which is pretty hilarious. But yeah, there was money that changed hands. There was a bunch of conspiring with all of that. There was attempted setup of old Rick Snay. I've described that to you. It was a motherfucking I don't know, circus. And boy, they're just in denial about that. They will never man up and admit it. And it fits some bitch ass guys, right? Because what kind of guy cocks block another guy? Man, that is the weakest thing I've ever seen. To call yourself a grown man and then make it your life's mission to cock block another grown man. I tell you what, there's nothing that says small penis like an overweight cock blocker. But you know, it's to be expected from the Rick Allen is guilty defense shills, fake cops who cover Delphi. Anyway, and we got the other one whose father was according to him, the biggest pedophile in the UK, and ran a pedophile ring. But of course, that was all a joke once his messages were exposed. But they are the two who had a huge bitch stream earlier, whining like little bitches. So that was pretty funny. And then what else? And then stupid ass all eyes on Delphi, right? Stupid ass cunt, all eyes on Delphi. Totally unprovoked, right? Totally unprovoked. She decided she was going to do a little more shit talking today. That was pretty interesting. She loves blasting old me and Adrian backslash Christina. It was as if she still hasn't figured that one out. But that's okay, Christina. There's so many Christinas in this community, and Christines and Christies, and boy, that name is just like what is it? Like all the troll farm gives themselves, all the state actors give themselves the Christina name except for one or two. God damn, man, y'all motherfuckers are insane. But that's okay. All eyes on Delphi, because when I come for you, which it's just about to happen, you're gonna cry. You're gonna cry like a little baby. But you know, I'm going to allow the entire community to see that you've constantly provoked, and no one went after you until you came after me. So I don't know what your issue is, lady, but I think you should get those pretend kids and that pretend husband and shove them up your ass and go cry and suck on Angela's teats or whatever you're going to do, because you're in for a rude awakening, okay? And moving right along, we got another cunt who she thought it was a good idea to slander a murdered woman. That's right. You know that woman who was murdered by Garrett Kurtz and Ashley Garth? You know that poor woman, Nicole Bowen? And please raise your hands in the chat if you're aware that there exists in the Delphi body count a poor woman named Nicole Bowen, who was a beautiful woman who was mercilessly murdered in rage for her knowledge of a meth deal that Garrett Kurtz was involved in by Ashley Garth and Garrett Kurtz. Yeah, you actually had a cunt on YouTube yesterday or day before say she was a terrible person and a terrible mother and she deserved to die and all this. Can you believe that? Can you believe a so-called victims advocate in the Delphi community would actually try to slander a fucking dead woman? I mean, you cannot make this shit up with these idiots on YouTube. And as much as I try to not step into the drama, I mean, they just leave me no choice, because how can I not call that out? Okay, you had Garrett Kurtz, who was and still is a POI in Delphi, right? Garrett Kurtz. And Ashley Garth, a ruthless fucking maniac, together murder a Nicole Bowen for her knowledge of some meth deal or situation, and she deserves to be slandered in all sorts of ways. You know, what is it? I don't know, 9 ways from Sunday. I don't know the fucking phrase, but by some cocky bitch who has to stand behind a AI filter every time she shows her face on YouTube. I'm telling you, like this community ensures that I will never be without content because they just go on and on and on and on with the lunacy, the stupidity, the insanity. But these are the girls who everyone follows and, oh, we love case by case. We love all eyes on Delphi. Ooh. I'm serious. That is just a despicable, low down act. That woman is not here to defend herself, and she was murdered in cold blood by the woman you're trying to get out of jail, and Garrett Kurtz, and it's proven. And man, I tell you what, when I say you girls don't wash your asses properly, I truly mean it, and I mean it in that metaphorical way. You know what I mean? Because doing something like that, you know, trying to put across some type of slanderous sentiment towards a victim in that way, while simultaneously calling yourself some sort of advocate, is just absolutely disgusting. And if this whole community doesn't call you out on that, shame on the community. Because I know one of Nicole Bowen's relatives, okay, who follows this case. And this person who orbits the Delphi community would take offense at the bad mouthing of that poor woman who was murdered in cold blood by the woman you're trying to free from prison and her boyfriend. And trust me, we got plenty locals who have called us and told us all about those two. So they're no angels, okay? They're no angels, right? Garrett Kurtz is no angel, and he'll tell you that himself. And Ashley Garth is no angel, right? And we know that for a fact. So, my God, the shamelessness of you people. But you have a problem that I say the 4-letter word that starts with a C. When you dirty ass bitches can't even carry yourselves properly on the internet. So shame on you. And just like the others who steal money from the community, who interject or insert all of this misinformation, it's just absolutely despicable. Shame on you. And then you got Michael Osbrook and crew literally trying to derail the appeal. Okay? You got this group that's tied into all of these fuckers who are literally trying to derail Richard Allen's appeal. And at the same time, they're requesting money be sent to Rick Allen for coffee, etc., when both him and Kathy say they don't want no money. They want money to go towards the people who are advocating to perpetuate the advocating for the corruption or against the corruption in Delphi. They don't want no money sent to them. That puts them in the target zone. Do you not get it yet? Rick Allen says when you are sending him money and requesting money be sent to him, you're putting him in a target zone. So can we please stop trying to put him in the center of a target zone? Can we please stop trying to derail the appellate team? Can we please stop trying to slander Christine and Erica, who have done their hardest to try to advocate for Kathy Allen? I mean, something is wrong with you people. Something's absolutely wrong with you people. But like I said, we'll be known as a drama channel, I suppose, because I suppose that none of the mean girls will ever fucking pull their heads out of their asses, ever. So therefore, we'll perpetuate the drama. And of course, you know, the troll farm, they're so busy smoking meth and sleeping with their brothers and sisters and rolling with the biker gangs that, you know, their heads are permanently welded to their ass cracks. So you got a big problem here. You know, you got a huge problem. You got the cranked out locals, and then you got the twacked out mean girls. And in between, you got like 3 people advocating for the truth about Delphi and the ending of corruption and the respecting of everyone involved. So it's absolutely mind-boggling what we have to deal with here. So, like I said, good thing is I'll never run out of content. Bad thing is I'll constantly be shamed as being someone who's critical of the bad behavior. So yeah, I guess that's me. I'm your Huckleberry, okay? I will continuously criticize you for doing fuck shit. So welcome to my world. Wait, can I get a oh my God. You guys. You guys need to clean your act up. Really do. You really need to clean that act up. Anyhow, of course, I'm not referring to anyone in my live chat because I got the greatest live chat here because this is everyone who has pulled their heads out of their asses at my insistence and has eventually realized that things are happening here, so they need to try to keep up. So anyway, with that being said, look out for my Substack this week because I know I've been working on it a few days. It's a lot of information, but it's a multi-part series. And the Substack, it's going to sting a little because, you know, obviously I was trying to show a little mercy and maybe consider not publishing it. But since you want to provoke and the mean girls just cannot stop provoking, I'll have to do it. And let's go back to Delphi Docs for a minute. Because I even tried to show them some leniency and just shut up about it. But, you know, Delphi Docs, narrative control, #1 in Delphi. I've said to you before, think about what are the odds? Okay, think about the fact that you've got two contingents. One who licks the boots in Delphi, that's the troll farm, right? They lick the boots. And then you got the mean girls who lick Rick Allen's boot. and regardless, you know, controlled opposition. And the controlled opposition says, well, you cannot talk about the family. You cannot question the actions or inactions of the family. And you cannot mention anyone's name. And you cannot speculate upon POIs. And you cannot do side-by-sides of the sketches. The exact same talking points as the bootlickers, the mean girls. Like, there's no difference. Okay, the only difference is one side says, I'm the left wing, and one side says, I'm the right wing. One side are left-wing extremists, mean girls, and the other side are right-wing extremists, troll farm. You see where I'm headed here? We're dealing with whack jobs, both sides. This narrative has been controlled since before day one. I've said that so many times. Since before day one, there has been an ironclad grip on this narrative around the Delphi murders. There's a reason, because there's something more to it. Okay? So, of course, I'm an idiot. So I guess all of you are, should we do like the Cranks or the Troll Farm and try to take power over the word and take claim? But we should call ourselves the idiots. What's up, idiots? Oh, yay, idiots. Let's use the okay, we could get a little screenshot of Patrick from SpongeBob, and instead of calling ourselves the Cranks with a bunch of flamingos, or the Troll Farm which with a fat ass beer drinking mom's basement living loser, we'll call ourselves the idiots and use Patrick as our what is it? You know, yeah. He will be our deal. The word's slipping my mind because God, I had to get all of that off my chest, and that's just from today. Just from today, y'all. So I have a feeling I'm gonna have to eat some of this chocolate just to calm my nerves, man. God damn. Yeah, we'll take control of the term idiot. Yeah, the mascot. Thank you very much, Christine and Moonbeam. I'm an idiot. See, I'm living up to the namesake. We'll be the idiots, and we'll have Patrick as our mascot. Okay, so we don't want to be a flamingo, and we don't want to be a fat ass drunk in a mom's basement, claiming to be law enforcement. about really being pedophiles. So we'll call ourselves the idiots, and we'll use Patrick. Is everyone fine with that? Is that is that going to redeem us from being shamed? All right. Enough of that. That was my little speech. That was the drama portion. Okay, so you got your drama in the first 20 minutes. So I won't make you wait through the whole 2.5 hours to get to the good part. So you got the good part up front. Yeah, prof derangement syndrome. He said cunt because I'm a cunt. All right. Well, got that off my chest. So let's say hello to everyone here. Oh, first of all, we got my girlfriend. It's a new day. Sent a $5 super chat. Hey, thank you. Uh-oh. I thought I put that on the screen. No, here it is. It's a new day. My buddy, it's a new day. Friday nights with Prof. The best research presentations on the evil. That is Delphi. Come into that just around the corner, okay? And we got David Rogers. Sir, what's up, Mr. David Rogers? Appreciate you. With a $3 super sticker. So appreciate that. And hey, while we're shilling the dollar signs, Miss Sweet Dude Shibby, would you please put up the GoFundMe link if you have it? So guys, one of the things they tried to shame for today was a GoFundMe. So if you guys don't mind, go visit my GoFundMe if you'd like to contribute to this Jerry Holman series. Go and feed the GoFundMe. And I'll be doing this multi-part Jerry Holman series. So that's what the GoFundMe is for, okay? To keep me going on these presentations. So anyway, I want to back it up a bit and say hello to who was here early, okay, waiting for me, and I appreciate the wait. Mr. Court of Public Opinion, my buddy in Indiana, appreciate you. Mr. Court of Public Opinion. Fur Baby Daddy, hello, sir. We talked about you last night over on Twitch. We got Carla Ann here. Dr. Corbo's Feel Good Fun Time Medicine Show, where I recommend subscribing. Sweet Dude Shibby, my main mod, is here. Please respect his word. Okay, he runs shit in the chat. Kay is here. And special shout out to my sweet Amy with the flowers. We miss you, Amy. Okay, Oleg Katz here. What's up, Oleg? Heavy Metal Rehab, my number 2 mod in the chat, my number 1. She's my other number 1, Heavy Metal Rehab. We got David Rogers, like I said, Anna Paula Baxter, Kit Kat, Carla Ann, Marcy. We got Moonbeam 70s Child, Taz. Okay, Goose's Gammy. Hey, what's up, Goose's Gammy? Put that up there. Goose's Gammy's here. Kit Kat, like I said. Oh, Christina. All right, go subscribe to Christina. Put her link up in the chat too. And come on back once you go click on her subscribe button. But Christina's here. Christina is not Adrian, everyone. All right, let's see. We got Laura Dawson. Hey, Laura. Gretchen. Hey, Gretchen. All right, and Dennis McKean. What up, Dennis? Carol's here. What's up, Carol? Tammy's here. Hey, Tammy. Dieter. Hey, Dieter. 4 Pit Bulls across America. Go subscribe to his channel, too. 4 Pits has awesome shorts. He just pumped a new one out. It's a love story. It's a heavy love affair. A heavy love affair. It's a heavy love affair. That's 4 Pit's latest short. Go check it out. And let's see. We got Brenda Mays. Hello, Brenda. All right, Low Card's here. What up? What's up, Low Card? What's up, Miss B? What's up, Old Mort, New Mort? What's up, Trial Junkie? Hey, where you been? What's up, Trial Junkie? Eliana Davidson, hello to you. Lisa's here. Hey, Lisa. Okay, who else is in here? Nancy Drew 101, the infamous Nancy Drew. And we got Shay Watson. What's up, Shay? Shay, why doesn't Shay have a wrench? I don't get that. Can we give Shay a wrench? Come on, man. Who else we got in here? Support with Steffa. Hey, Steffa. Everyone say hi to Steffa. I appreciate you being here, Steffa. Ooh, what did I just do? I just skipped 10 minutes ahead, so I'm not going to say hi to everyone. Okay. Steffa's here. Carla Ann. God damn it. My mouse is just flying all over the place. Okay. We got Lisa. I said hi already. Okay. Monkey Lady 86. Funny name. K. Miri. Miss Pie Crust. Deb. Hey, Deb. All right. Paula Fitzhenry. Hello, Paula. Come on. I'm getting there. I'm trying. I don't want to miss anyone. If I happen to miss you, just shout out in the chat because my mouse is just glitching or something. Maybe the battery's dying. Rotting Jules, hello. Hello to you. Didn't get the dang notification. Happy Friday, everyone. Okay. Finally remembered to check your channel. Oh, hey, Christina. Okay. Hebby Brown is here. What's up, Hebby? All right. Dieter. Gretchen. Monkey Lady. Aaron Town. I'm talking in my sleep. Well, you'll be able to listen later. It'll be a good one. All right. Profs GoFundMe. Thank you. Greatest chat on the planet. Icy Cat up in here. What's up, Icy Cat? Shay Watson. Okay. Support with Steffa. And I think that's everybody. So if I missed you, apologize. Just say you missed me, Prof, and I'll say hello. But okay. That's where we are. So the program for this evening, you're going to love. Now, look, guys, I'm not going to say it. Okay, I'm not going to say it. I'll just show you. All right, excuse me while I whip this here out. All right, just a moment. All right, we're going to be looking at the deposition of Jerry Holman. And if you're on the replay, do me a favor. As we go through, leave some comments down below. You guys know how this works with YouTube. I want to hear your comments after this post on YouTube so that I can get your input because you missed the live stream. So since you missed the live, the only way you can leave commentary is down below. And look, if you're looking for me as well, you can always find my link tree. If you catch my link tree, you'll find my email address. You'll find my Venmo if you want to send me a Venmo. You'll find my Substack if you want to go over there and subscribe at Substack. You'll find my YouTube channel. Everything you need is on the link tree. So please check out the link tree in the channel description. If you need to get in touch with me or you want to send me support or anything you need, Linktree is your place, okay? And it's in the channel description. What's up, Topher? All right. So anyway, what we're going to be doing, like I said, tonight's program is taking a close look, prof style, at the deposition of Jerry Holman, okay? And you will see that this deposition here, what we'll be covering tonight is part one of our Bradley Rossi direct examination here. You see? Okay. I doubt we'll get through 211 pages where the Baldwin redirect comes in. So this portion here tonight will be the beginning portion because we're just starting, okay? Now let me see if I can do a little something. Let's see. There you go. Thank you, Christina. So I've pinned that in the chat. In case you need my link tree, it's pinned in the chat as well. It's easy for you to find. Okay, so you'll see here, first thing to notice are the exhibits that are attached to this deposition. And we will be looking at these at a later point, but just for you to get a sense or a flavor of what's included in in this deposition in terms of exhibits. You've got the Abby photo. You've got Exhibit B photo asterisk. Okay, so remember, these are the sticks on Abby that are shaped somewhat like a star or an asterisk, or Dr. Corbo will probably be able to tell us an exact name for that. But the shape that is put on Abby's poor body as she was deceased is absolutely some sort of occult symbology, and that's what it is. And so Exhibit B is the photo of compared with an asterisk, okay? And then Defendant C is side by sides. Defendant's D is the tree marking, which some people call the F, but I don't think it's so much an F, but it could be. It's almost like an upside down L, or maybe a T, maybe an F. Who knows? It's definitely some right angles involved, okay? You got stick photos. Remember, the sticks on the bodies are the number one indicator, aside from the positioning of the bodies, which are both positioned in tarot configurations, okay? You got Defendant's G, which is a supplemental report. If a tree photo, side-by-side photo, 32817 ISP report, okay? So we'll be getting into that later. All right. All right, so here we go. We're getting off the ground now. So it says Jerry Holman, having been duly sworn to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth relating to said matter, was examined and testified as follows. Meaning he's sworn in, right? So this is a sworn statement. We'll see. We'll see what we think about this. Okay. All right. So as I mentioned, this portion tonight will definitely be totally Mr. Razi asking the questions. So he says, state your name, Holman, and he says a couple of things, speak loudly, and if I have to remind you to speak, don't take it personally. We're just trying to get a clean recording, okay? He says, you work for Indiana State Police? Yes. And how long have you worked? And he says 22 years, since January of 2001, okay? In what capacity are you currently employed? He says, I'm the district investigative commander at the Lafayette district. Now put a pin in that in your brains, okay? Because remember, Lafayette is a pivotal institution in this Delphi murders. Remember, the Lafayette PD is the department that had the contract with Gray Media, who was sending out copyright strikes for the Bridge Guy video, which we know was encoded or created on March 9th, 2025. That's right, that BG video that don't look right, that was released by these weirdos, it was struck by the Lafayette PD's contractor, Gray Media, who happens to also had contracted with Allen County Superior Court, oddly enough. Anyway, he's in Lafayette. Remember, there's also search and rescue that was out there. You can see in the helicopter video and crime scene photos from the media as the crime scene was being discovered or staged. That was Lafayette as well. So we got a whole bunch of Lafayette people here. But of course, Holman is the commander of the investigative district in Lafayette. And he says he's first sergeant. And he says, does that mean you're basically a supervisor? Yes, sir. And he says, detective work? Yes, sir. And in what capacity were you employed with the Indiana State Police in February 2017? And he says, same. I was district investigative commander then. So it's interesting point to not forget that he was big man in charge. Okay, he was big man in charge over this since day one, or since, like the way I like to say, since before day one. Okay, and he says, in the course of your duties as a cop, have you ever been disciplined for any misconduct? No, I haven't. In terms of your deposition, what did you do in preparation? Well, the first one I was prepared but got it canceled. Obviously, I spent a lot of time reviewing notes. However, this week's been very busy and hectic. Haven't had a whole lot of time to prepare those notes, but I did meet with Nick last Friday, the prosecutor, to get my story straight. And we discussed the email that you sent, the topics, and we kind of discussed some of those so I could prepare for those. So you see what's happening is, of course, they're going to consult with each other before this deposition to make sure their stories are aligned. Okay, they need to be aligned. Jerry Holman and Nick McClellan, your lead investigator and your prosecutor, have to be aligned before they go make themselves vulnerable in this deposition. And this is exactly what he admits to have happened. But remember, lots of people had their stories aligned. Remember the medical examiner. I want to say, I don't want to get his name wrong because it's hard to recall, but Roland Kaur, I think is his name. Remember that it was after his meeting with McClellan that his story changed too, and he suddenly produced a box cutter in his speculations about the murder weapon. But remember, that was after Reese Davis had written letters saying that Keegan Kline and Ron Logan mentioned that they used a box cutter to kill Abby and Libby. Okay. So after Reese sent the information to McClellan that a box cutter was possibly involved due to what Ron Logan and Keegan Kline told him, then McClellan consulted with the medical examiner. Okay. And then suddenly the medical examiner changed his story just in time for trial and said, hey, possibly a box cutter. All right. He said, so basically you did some prep and you didn't necessarily sit down and go back through all that stuff. And he says, no, I didn't have time. Did you speak with anybody other than Nick? And if you notice my thumbnail, he says, yeah, I spoke to Tony Liggett. And David Vito. So who got the story straight? Let's review this. Remember, these are the heavy hitters. These are the main players. These are the main characters in the Delphi state push of this narrative is Nick McClellan, Jerry Holman, Tony Liggett, and David Vito. That's your guys, right? Those are your guys. And don't forget that you got Shane Evans hanging out in the background, right? Just don't let it slip by you that Shane Evans is sitting there in the background of this conversation. But that's your handful that's really driving this ship, okay? What did you talk to Sheriff Liggett about? And of course, McClellan freaks the fuck out. Now look, remember, guys, I've told you so many times, if you go back to any of the pretrial hearings or the transcript of the trial, I've called it out almost from the beginning that what absolutely happens every single time is when something pertinent is touched upon, Nicholas McClellan freaks the fuck out and he wildly objects, waving his arms in the air. He's like, I object. He loses fucking mind. So it's interesting. The moment he says, what did you talk to Liggett about? I object. This is not, this is part of the work product. I advise him not to answer because I think they probably talked about what we talked about. Put a pin in it. Okay. But Razi says, but you don't know. And he says, you're right. But I think it's going to elicit work product. Remember, it's the same bullshit excuse Robert Ives used. Remember, Robert Ives pussied out on this entire trial and this whole thing. And instead of coming to speak on Abby and Libby's behalf, he claimed the same thing. Oh, no, I don't want to go. Oh, no, work product. Since when is work product not the public's property? Let me ask you this. When did you talk to Sheriff Liggett? It would have been several times. Now, listen, I talked to him several times So last week, probably Friday, earlier this week, it would have been before and after his deposition. So you see what's going on? Like, as if you already don't know that's happening. As things are happening, they're having they're in constant conversation about what's happening. Okay? Constant conversation about what's happening. So Liggett gets deposed. He talks to McClellan. He talks to Holman. Holman gets deposed. He talks to Liggett. He talks to Cleveland. They all are talking to Vito. They're all talking to Evans. It's just a whole circle, a constant conversation that keeping each other filled in on what the story is and what is happening. They have to get everything aligned, right? Because this is not about the truth. This is about a cover-up. Okay. He says, it would have been before and after his deposition, and I talked to David Vito last night a little bit, basically about your email and the topics you were going to discuss. Okay, so he talks to McClellan, Liggett, and Vito about the topics that were going to be discussed in this deposition. Is going to take us several episodes. So remember, this is not off the cuff here. This is all well prepared. It's well discussed. They've consulted with each other for hours and hours and hours on this multiple times. Okay. Did you talk to Sheriff Liggett about anything you didn't talk to McClellan about? No. You haven't talked to Mr. McClellan since Sheriff Liggett took his deposition, right? I talked to Nick last night on the phone. Colluded. There's your word. Yeah. Okay. This is going to take forever with the constant commentary, but it's worth me doing it, right? It's worth doing the commentary. So they are so concerned with this deposition that he's talking the night before. They have the conversation the night before about this going into this deposition. Okay. What shouldn't I say? What should I say? What shouldn't I say? What don't I know? What do I know? Okay. Anyone else? No. Okay. Sheriff Lesenby? I haven't talked to Tobe in months. Okay. All right. So I'm going to kind of try to work this through as efficiently as I can. It may be similar to what we've already done, but that's the way it's got to be. So let's talk about just generally February 13, 2017. We all know that we're talking about the circumstance at the trail here in Carroll County. Yes. All right. Well, this is kind of a simple opening question, but do you believe that there are any eyewitnesses to the actual event that took those girls' lives? No, not the actual event. No. Okay. Why that answer? Well, because if there's someone who saw the event, then that implicates that person, right? That would implicate that person because either the person is obstructing justice by not coming forward and saying they witnessed that event, or the person is a participant in the event. So in order to make this a lone wolf killer, you have to make this a scenario wherein no one saw it happen whatsoever, except Richard Allen. Do you believe that the perpetrator or the perpetrators, good one, Rozzy, good one, perpetrators that were responsible for that act were seen by any individuals on that day? And this is where it gets spun. Okay, now he can spin this one, so he does. He says yes. Tell me which individuals you think saw the perpetrator or perpetrators. So there's several witnesses at different times, and I'm terrible with times and dates. Yeah, we think all those witnesses are lying, by the way. Okay, I'm just asking for names. So there was a group of girls out there, high school or middle school girls. I believe it was Anna Spath, Rayleigh Voorhees, and then a younger girl that we didn't release her name or interview her. She's like 6 or 7. Isabella Voorhees is her name. Anna Spath, Rayleigh Voorhees, and Isabella Voorhees. There was one more. I can't think of it right off the top of my head, but there was a group of girls that were together that saw Mr. Allen. Really? Funny, they didn't say that in court. They saw Mr. Allen. That's funny because no one could say they saw Mr. Allen in court, right? Wow. That's pretty interesting, though. They saw Mr. Allen, you say. You don't say. Did they say they saw Mr. Allen? Oh, they didn't? Okay, so they didn't see Mr. Allen. They saw someone. Check. Let's cut to the chase. So that's one group. Okay, and then he says, and then there's Betsy Blair, who was walking on the trail that day, who saw who I believe is Richard Allen on the bridge. Yeah, except he looked 20 years younger and had bushy hair and was clean shaven. Yeah, total different guy that Betsy Blair saw, but we're going to make that one Richard Allen too. And, also we got Sarah Carbaugh, who I believe was on County Road 300 North. She saw a person that she believes, and I also believe was Richard Allen. Hey, if you're new to the Delphi case, get ready, get your hip waders on, put some shit boots on, because it's gonna get deep. This case gets deep. It gets deep. Listen, no one saw Richard Allen, but you've got all these witnesses. Remember, you had dozens of people out there that day. Not one saw Richard Allen, but some did see some guys in 3 different places or 4. And all of these different people seeing these different guys who were also described differently, that the guys were described differently from each other, varying in age, in height, in build, in attire, right? Some are in all black. Some are wearing blue jeans with blue jackets. Some are in all blue. Some are in all black. Some are tall. Some are short. Some are muscular. Some are older. Some are younger. Some have a hat on. Some don't have a hat on. Some has facial hair. Some don't have facial hair. You've got all these different people. But remember, especially to those new here, what this prosecution had to do is make them all Richard Allen. Although no one identified him in court. And no one could even identify him as being the individual that they intended to convey to the sketch artist. Okay, remember, there are several sketches. There's a handful of sketches, by the way. You got a handful of sketches. And not one of those individuals who conveyed descriptions to the sketch artist who produced those sketches could say that Richard Allen is the person that they were intending to portray in these sketches. And we know that the story is that Betsy Blair, whose sketch resembles a 20-year-old that's clean shaven with bushy curly hair, we know that guy, he said when that sketch was produced that it was a 10 out of 10. That sketch was absolutely perfect. So think about this, okay? Like critical thinking is essential if you're going to follow something as complex as this cover-up. Okay. If you have a witness who is within 50 feet of someone who produced a sketch, and when the sketch artist turns and shows to her, she says, that's a 10 out of 10 for who I saw. And that person appears to be 20 years old, is absolutely clean shaven, with curly, poofy hair, with a very distinctive look. She says, that's perfect. 10 out of 10. That's 100 out of 100. That's 100%. That would be an A++ if you're in school that the sketch artist got. But she allowed herself, or she participated in this cover-up. She either allowed herself to be used by law enforcement. She might have been compelled, or the peer pressure might have been intense to cause her to agree to go along with this prosecution and participate, or she's in on it. Okay, but either way, there's some reason that even though she knows that Richard Allen is not who she saw, she went along with it. And remember, that woman also has incredibly bizarre behavior that day. If you follow, so she's allegedly wearing this Fitbit. And if you track the movements of her Fitbit, especially if you've ever been out there, it would occur to you immediately, something's wrong here, because all you have to do is go out there and see how illogical her movements are on that day, according to the Fitbit and her story. But of course, like I said, even though her sketch doesn't match, even though it's a 10 out of 10, even though her movements don't make any sense at all, like I say, especially if you've ever been out there where it's a lengthy walk. It's not a quick walk. It's not like just walking to your next door neighbor's house here. It's more like walking a few blocks over. But she's coming and going and driving and coming back and going over here and going over there, making no sense in her movements. But Holman alleges in line number 20 here, no, I'm sorry, number 17 and 18, he says, Betsy Blair, who saw who I believe is Richard Allen on the bridge. Okay? And of course, you guys all know Sarah Carbaugh was the woman who acted, the witness who acted insane at trial, right? She was the unhinged witness who was all giddy and smiling and smarty pants and angry and weird. The really bizarre behaving woman, Sarah Carbaugh, she saw a person that she believes and also I believe is Richard Allen. Okay. So it's already getting thick. We're only on page 9 here. And remember, the first few were cover pages. So next up, he says, and I think that I can remember, that's all I think I can remember at this time without viewing reports. Okay, did any of those witnesses ever specifically identify Richard Allen as the person that they saw? Answer, wait for a drum roll. Brrr, no. Once again, did any of those witnesses ever identify Richard Allen as the person that they saw? No. Now, they've been shown lineups. They've seen Richard Allen. They know what Richard Allen looks like. Did any of those witnesses, those gazillion witnesses you got? Remember, there were also witnesses omitted, slyly. There were several witnesses who were just disappeared. Okay. Did any of the witnesses? No. Were any of those witnesses offered any kind of lineup, shown any images, and asked to identify Richard Allen? No. We discussed the lineups, but because of the time period when we discovered Richard Allen was the guy on the bridge, we didn't feel like that would be appropriate to do a lineup 6 years later. Do you believe that? Do you believe? Okay, let's say it this way. Do you honestly believe none of those witnesses turned the television on? Oh, sorry. Do you believe none of those witnesses Googled Richard Allen when they saw that Richard Allen had been arrested? Do you think that those witnesses, for 2 years leading up to trial, from the time of his arrest to the time of trial, do you think none of those witnesses ever saw Richard Allen? Again, number one, did any of the witnesses identify Richard Allen as the person that they saw? No. Okay. So he says him and McClellan discussed the lineup, didn't think it would be appropriate. No. You didn't want to be on record, because here's the problem with showing that lineup. There's going to be a record of it unless you delete it like you did the other 70 days of interviews. But if you have an interview, you're going to be forced to delete it, because when you show Richard Allen in an interview room on a table, you put down a photo of Richard Allen and that witness does not identify Richard Allen, you're going to have a problem on your hands. So how did they get around that? They decided not to show a lineup to the witnesses. Therefore, the witnesses would not be on record as not identifying Richard Allen. You see how that works? Because you don't want to give them something to use against you, and that would be giving them something to use against you because it would be on record. So anyway, they come up with the excuse that it wouldn't be appropriate 6 years later. Okay. You spoke with these people on a number of occasions during the course of the investigation, right? I have not. Well, I mean your investigative team, yes. I mean, these are people you almost maintain constant contact with. Like I said, yeah, every day, all day, it's a constant conversation. And of course, he immediately, he distances from that. He says, no, it's not constant. It's frequent. It's frequent. It's not constant. It's frequent. So guys, let's alleviate your concerns. It's not constant communication. It's frequent contact with the eyewitnesses. Frequent contact with the eyewitnesses who cannot identify Richard Allen as the killer or the person they saw. Okay. So there were opportunities to kind of refresh their recollection about what was going on just because you were talking about the case. Oh, yes. But you were concerned that they may not be able to make an accurate identification if you were to offer that up to them? I think that's an appropriate statement. Yes, we were afraid of that because of the time frame. They wouldn't be able to give an accurate depiction of the person that they saw 6 years ago. If that would have happened, hypothetically, that would have made your investigation more difficult. If they were able to, yeah, no. If they couldn't, see what I mean? They couldn't, absolutely. That's what I was saying. If they can't identify him as the guy that they saw, they got a problem on their hands. Therefore, you don't show them the lineup. Problem solved. And Razi says, so it's a pretty memorable event. You would think, correct? Yes. So let's talk about the timeline in this case. Are you generally familiar with what I'm talking about when I say timeline? I'm talking about basically February 13th from, let's just say, I'm picking broader ends, maybe 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Yes. You generally know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the timeline. I do. Do you believe that your timeline has been kind of created? I'll say, is an accurate one? Yes. Did you specifically play any role in creating that timeline? Collecting data and briefs with some of the other people that collected that data, yes. But as far as putting the timeline together, that was done by our intel analyst, Gray Hughes. Come on, Jerry. It was Gray Hughes. Let's be real here. It's Gray Hughes. Can you tell me what that means? Because that's the first time I've heard that phrase, intel analyst. Gray Hughes. Yeah, it's an analyst that we have that helps with our intelligence gathering. Now listen to this one. This gets spicy, okay? And I know some of you may not have come across this information yet. It's worth a look because this is par for the course. You'll see what I mean. Her name is Stacy Gosnell Day. There's another one. His name is Jasmine. Not Jasmine, but Jazz, Jazz, and Munn, Munn. Are these law enforcement officers? And watch this funny answer. They're employed by the Indiana State Police, but they're civilians. Oh, really? How many civilians does the Indiana State Police employ? You wouldn't happen to employ any, I don't know, Mean Girls troll farm or attorneys hiding behind the scenes doing some little puppet mastering, would you? I bet you. I bet you the ISP does employ some other civilians. So where does Mr. Day and Mr. Munn work? Indianapolis. Okay. I guess just tell me generally. I've never heard of these people, either individually or this particular intel analyst, what they do. Their names are not going to be in our reports. But any work product they do, like the timeline, they'll be responsible for that. So you got 2 civilians. Is Gray Hughes a third? How many other civilians do you have? You got some other intel analysts? You got some other PR agents? Who else you have working for the ISP, sir? So tell me what they're tasked with, and check it out, number 10 here. Gathering intelligence. If we got a tip on somebody, they would give us information. Addresses, phone numbers, work history, criminal history, anything that we needed to help us investigate that tip. And then also, at some point, they helped us with the timeline. What? Really? So they're investigating people? How many YouTubers have they investigated? Is that how you got to dox me? I wonder, is that how you dox me? How many civilians you got doxing people for the Indiana State Police? Because that's what that is, right? Look, addresses, phone numbers, work history, criminal history. That's called doxing. And then if that wasn't bad enough, these civilians also helped with the timeline. They created the timeline. Sounds like that's what Gray Hughes did. Okay, I don't want to beat this with a dead horse, but this is all totally new to me, and maybe I just have not observed it in Discovery. Actually, so you're saying there's not really any reports with these people? We're not allowed. Signatures on them? Yeah, we're not allowed. We're not allowed to put their names out because of their intelligence. We're not allowed. Kind of like CIA stuff almost. Fusion Center, stuff like that. We're not allowed to mention them in reports. Oh, so let's back that up again. Stacy Gosnell Day, Jazz Munn, intel analyst, like the CIA working for the Fusion Center, and you're not allowed to put them in Discovery or in reports, but they dox people at your discretion, and they put the timeline together. That sounds exactly like what we've been saying has been happening in Delphi from the very fucking beginning. I know Rafi's been saying it for fucking 5 years at least. I've been saying it for these 3 years I've been here. Oh, suddenly I'm not crazy? Suddenly it's not crazy to say that there's civilians hiding behind the scenes doing this type of shit and terrorizing the community and making the timeline and the theory of the crime and making all this shit up? And I'd wager there's also PR. There are civilians that are working in PR for this, but see, that's not in this. See, we haven't gotten that yet. We'll have to do that next trial. Mr. Razi, please, next time around, ask about the PR team. So are you suggesting that the 2 of these individuals are primarily responsible for piecing together this timeline and offering this up in a, I'll say, comprehensive fashion? I wouldn't say they pieced it together. Through the investigation we did, I mean, like it's very broad. There's very broad question. I'll try to answer the best of my ability, but I'll give you an example. For example, we downloaded Liberty's phone, and that would be First Sergeant Cecil initially. I'm sorry, but it would be Lieutenant Brian Bunner, and then First Sergeant Cecil helped. He was able to tell us exactly when Liberty plugged their phone into the phone charger from phone data, okay, into Kelsey's car. Sounds like he got a little shook. Sounds like that's a nervous question. Who's the guy, Sergio? Where's Sergio on decoding this? Sergio, can we get page 15 decoded? This seems like some weird energy in this answer. And and then he was able to tell us when she unplugged it, which gave us very good timeline of when she left the house and when they arrived at the trail. Now you put that with Kelsey's statements, the liar, and other people's statements, the other liars, and all that, and that gave us an accurate timeline. No, inaccurate. They're lying. So we gather all that information. We allow our intelligence analysts, civilians, the civilians who dox everybody, okay, and who create the timeline, to put together a timeline for us. See, that's how it works, babe. This is called Delphi. So it sounds like they're dealing with a lot of what I would actually call technical forensic. Absolutely. Electronic data and things of that nature. Yes, they're not investigators. They don't investigate. They're investigators. They're not investigators like CIA. I don't know, the Fusion Center, Intel analysts. They don't interview. They use information that we collect to establish a nice timeline for us so we know exactly what happened. And you can ask me times and dates and all that, but I'll have to refer to those reports. But that's what we have, and it's pretty accurate. Like I said, that's what when we talk about phone data and stuff. Telling you, this case is a marathon. Okay, Delphi is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not a sprint at all. It's a marathon. All right. Let me just ask you this. I guess kind of wedged in here, but we're talking about timing. What conclusions have you drawn about the time of death of either one or both of the girls? Really, there's no, we were told the pathologist there was no way to give us an accurate time of death, so I don't know, though, other than, the time we interacted, Libby and Abby interacted with Richard Allen. We also know that when her phone went off, and we know that through witnesses when they saw Richard Allen leaving the scene, so we did a bedside investigation would be more likely 2:30, 3:30, but that's my opinion, but that's about the time we know there was an interaction right before that, and then later that evening phone activity stopped and things like that. The three information we were able to narrow it down to about that time frame. Once again, page 17, Sergio. Page 17. What if the girls died separately? Abby at one time and place, and Libby at one time and place. And what if that time interval is not close, not within 5 minutes? But what if it's far, like within 17 or 24 hours? Okay? So if you got two victims and they're supposed to be dying within minutes of each other, but they really died 24 hours from each other, you might have a problem there. So therefore, you would need a pathologist to say, I can't give an accurate time of death. I'm sorry. I know this is the field. I know it's a science. Generally we can give very accurate times of deaths within a certain window. But in the case of Abby and Libby, unfortunately, I know they're two dead little girls and all, but hey, it's a cover up after all. We're not going to be able to determine a time of death because if we give you an accurate time of death, it's going to prove that these girls died pretty far apart. So, in order to have them dying within 5 minutes of each other, we're just going to say we can't give a time of death. Sorry. So you've been doing this for a long time. I'm assuming there's been other, I'll say, homicide cases or other cases involving death where the time of death has been determined by a pathologist or medical experts, right? Yes. It's not out of the realm of possibility. No, it's not. Yes. No. Yes. No. In this case, that never happened. No. Was there ever any discussion about why that wasn't attempted? There was. Yes, there was. Amongst the rank and file, so to speak, or the brass, there was a discussion. I don't recall. I can't recall. I don't know. But I was told there was never a time of death given. So did anyone ever suggest that, hey, we should have done this at the crime scene or with the bodies, or we should have done that at the crime scene or with the bodies in order to help us create a time of death? Oh, no, I think our crime scene investigator would have been able to determine that. I mean that's not, it's something beyond my investigation. An investigator at the time would think. I think we would rely on our crime scene investigators. There was a multiple crime scenes investigators out there. Somebody I think yesterday might have been Andy. I don't know, sitting here next to me, might have asked a question about taking temperatures or something of the bodies when they were discovered. Are you familiar with that technique? I've never seen it done, but I'm familiar with that technique. Yeah. Was that done in this case? If you know, I don't know. I don't know. But you'd have to check with the crime scene investigators, reports it, and okay, ask them. Ask them. You're kind of loosely referring to CSI investigators in a plural sense. Just tell me the names of the two. I think I know, but I actually there's more than two. Okay, who were the primary officers that processed the scene? Brian Olehi, or Ole, who has since retired from our department. Jason Page was there. And Dwayne Datsman. Dwayne Datsman and Brian Olhe from the Lafayette Post. My Post, right? Holman's Post. Who's the last guy? Datsman. Datsman. Datzman. He's also retired. Okay. And then Scott Gilbert. Oh, another one. Oh, there you go. Okay. He's the supervisor, and he's from the Lowell Post. But he was there. And then Jim Cody. Jim Cody is from down south somewhere, but he was there at the scene on the 14th. And then there was multiple others involved too later when they come back. But I would have to refer to the reports on that to help with the searches and things like that. Okay, got the names? All right, moving on here. How many individuals do you think were involved in this crime? I believe one. One individual, who is Richard Allen, is involved in this crime. You don't think that there's anybody else that had knowledge? Or any involvement in this actual act? I don't believe no. I don't believe there's anyone that had involvement in the actual act, but I do believe there possibly could be somebody that was communicating with the girls and was setting the meeting up. Yeah, Anthony Schatz. Hello. Here I go. I'm sorry to be annoying, but I tell you, when I get annoying, it's to get your attention. So here we go with the annoying shit. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Oh my God.
Hello. Oh my God. Oh my God. I do believe there was possibly somebody that was communicating with the girls and setting the meeting up. Are you suggesting that somebody else may have been, I don't want to use the word baiting them, but involved in the preparation of this particular act? Catfishing. Yes. Yeah? Yes. Guys, how many times do we have to say it? So what a contradiction. How is that happening? But Richard Allen gets some beers, goes on a walk, and just suddenly decides I'm going to just take these two girls with my gun. Because one act is premeditated and arranged. The other act is spur of the moment, crime of opportunity. Are you suggesting someone else may have been involved, baiting them, or involved in the preparation of this particular act? Catfishing? Yeah. Yes. With the knowledge that there was going to be an end result that involved Rick Allen? I don't know about the knowledge of the end result, but I do believe that somebody was communicating with the girls to meet and have them meet somebody out there. Hello? Someone was communicating with the girls to meet and have them meet somebody out there. Tell you what, there's more to this than you might think, and there's more than the mean girls will tell you. Where's that other person? Why haven't you found that person and prosecuted that person? Is that person Keegan Kline? Is that person another user of one of Keegan Kline's accounts? Let me ask you a better question. Do you think that there was a coordinated effort to get these girls to that location by more than one person? Bombshell, yes. Let me ask you a question. Do you believe that there was a coordinated effort to get these girls to that location by more than one person? Yes. Come on, man. What have I been saying? Who is the other person? Keegan Kline. Badass. Keegan Kline. And is your belief based on just in general? I'm not trying to get into, 5 years of investigation, but just tell me, why do you believe that? Why do I believe that? Let me ask you a better question. Withdraw that one. Have you unearthed any evidence that Keegan Kline connects with Richard Allen? No. Not at this point. No. Hello. And this one's going to go out to the insane maniacs that try to do that.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Oh my God.
I'm telling you. So Keegan Kline brings him out there, but Richard Allen murders him, who you say not one of the witnesses can identify. Makes sense. Have you attempted to unearth evidence that connects these two? Yes. We know they were living in the same area. Keegan's father was close in age and lived in the same area, but nothing at this point. Okay, hey, I live in the same area as my neighbor next door. Am I responsible for anything she does? Does that mean that her and I went drinking and went to play bingo last Wednesday? No, I let her go do that and I stay home. Oh my God. It's rich, but you notice, look, Keegan Kline, and who does he mention in line number 15? Keegan's father. At this time, is there an active investigation focused on anyone other than Richard Allen? No. Not even Keegan Kline? I don't think it's active anymore due to lack of cooperation on his part. Is your investigation still ongoing despite the fact that Richard Allen is in custody? Yes. Hello. Let's do it again. I got to choose another one for you. Let's see. We're gonna do another one. What did he say? He said, is this investigation still ongoing although Rick Allen's in
I'm
custody?
legally blind.
Yes. I'm telling you, this is a bombshell document here. Tell me what's still ongoing. We're still following up with information on Richard Allen that we get. For example, his confessions he made at DOC. We're interviewing multiple officers, logged in notes, and also looking at his phone conversations. We're also still trying to see if he was in contact with anyone other than Keegan Kline. Anyone at all? Yes. We're going to get to that maybe a little later. I don't want to ask you one question I don't want to forget. So hold on. So not only did you look at Richard Allen's non-connection to Clegan Klein. You looked at Richard Allen's non-connection to nobody. Did we get it? Like, so basically, they went through Richard Allen, like they ran through Richard Allen, okay? No connection to Keegan Klein. No connection to anyone else that might be involved. Anyone at all? Nope. Whew. Okay. Moving on. Okay, now he's gonna pivot. He says, "Do you have a list of all these officers that communicated with at Westville corrections officer? Yeah, all these people that you're talking to. Yeah, like, is there a comprehensive list of these people? Yes, you should have it in discovery. The information was gathered by subpoena. Should be in discovery. Okay, we have a lot of stuff. Sometimes you can forget to look through things or looked at it but kind of forgotten. But there is a list that exists that was created rather recently, I assume, and it would have to have been. Yes. Let's talk about the search that occurred out at the scene on the 13th and 14th. Woo! Guys, remember, I have an episode called The Search, the Faux Search. It's called The Faux Search. It's in my playlist. The Search, boy, this where it gets rich. The Search is a whole fucking chapter. Let's talk about the search that occurred out at the scene on the 13th and 14th. You tell me in your own words, how did that search begin? How did that come to be? Well, sure. Well, I'll start out by saying that I was not involved in the search. I was not involved. I actually heard that there was 2 missing girls on the radio on my drive into the post. I immediately called the sheriff and asked the former sheriff if they needed any assistance with the search, and he said no, they had plenty of people. I said, if you need anything, call me. And then that would have been 8 o'clock in the morning or so. Does that smell right to you? Does that smell right to you? Are you telling me Holman, who's the head guy in charge in Lafayette, doesn't know of this at all until the next morning at 8? He doesn't see the news. He doesn't hear the scanner. Is there not a scanner everywhere he goes? He says, on the 14th, I did not know about it on the 13th. Sure. I had no involvement on the 13th whatsoever. Sergio, time. So on the morning of the 14th, I heard about it. I reached out to the sheriff, and later that morning, probably, I know it was close to lunch, I received a phone call from a captain. Would have been captain. He's retired now. I think I'm the name. And sorry, I'm kind of flustered right now. No, it's just okay. And then I'm trying to think of anyway. I got a call. He was downtown at some point. The sheriff's department requested a helicopter from the state police, and I received that phone call and I asked if I knew about it, and I said yes, I did. And they said, hey, if our helicopter's over there, you need to get boots on the ground. So probably got there about 11:30, and then shortly after, the girls were found. Not according to David Erskine. So I have no involvement in the search. No involvement. Kind of weird, man. That smells a little fishy. So in terms of state police deployment, basically there was a helicopter used. Were there any other tools, vehicles, equipment that was used that was state police property? I believe there were. I believe there were troopers that were assisting that morning. What tools they used, I don't know. You're talking about drones and stuff, but you weren't involved in any of that. I don't think the state police had drones at that point. We do now. I don't think we had drones, so we would have not deployed the drones. Oh, so question: who deployed the drones? It wouldn't be who I think, would it? Please tell me it's not who I think. We know some of the trolls were out there. And we know one of the trolls' besties flies drones. And also drives Mr. Doug Carter around. What did the trolls do out there in Delphi? Did troll farms participate in this cover up? Staging of the bodies? Search? Any kind of ATVs or anything of that nature? Not to my knowledge. I don't think we have. Well, we probably do, but I'd have to tell. Well, you had Cody Patty on an ATV. Hello. Okay, watercraft. There was some talk about that. Anything from the state police? Not originally. I think the Tippecanoe County had their water rescue team there, but I don't believe ours was involved in that. Yes, we have photos of that. Very good fucking photos. There was a boat. There was a water rescue truck. Water rescue team. And oddly enough, those people who are filmed almost as if they're acting on the helicopter footage, they're also there in a news broadcast in pitch fucking dark. When did they get there? And when you got to the scene, I think you said about 11:30. Is that right? I got to not the scene, the area. The old fire station was they were having all the search parties sign in and things like that. You were actually out around the trail at any point while the search was actually ongoing? No, I never left the fire station until the girls were located. Then I went to the scene. So when you got there, the search, I'm going to say the search team in general sense was not active at that point. It was just law enforcement. There weren't still people walking around there in the woods at that point looking for the girls. 11:30 in the morning, yes. Well, when you got there, when you got to the scene, there were still people looking. They were coming up the hill. Excuse me, up the hill? Are you inversely spell casting? Because remember, the spell casting in this case is down the hill, down the hill, down the hill, down the hill. That's the spell casting.
I'm legally blind.
So are you turning the spell inside out, upside down? You're saying up the hill. So coincidentally, as you're arriving, they're coming up the hill. So maybe I'm confusing you. But when you actually physically went out there, you went out there because they found the girls. Yes. All right. There were still some people out there that were part of the search team. The search party that located the girls were still in the area. Okay. They weren't necessarily down where the girls were located, but they were. I mean, before I got there. I got there pretty quickly. I don't know exactly what time it was, but there was only a few officers that were there. And that time they were trying to secure the scene, put crime scene tape up, things like that. See, don't smell right. None of it smells right. None of it smells right. And remember, David Erskine says, no, it's much earlier they found the girls. Much earlier. So which one was it? How big was the search team that found the girls that you just referenced? If I remember correctly, without reviewing my report, caveat, there was technically two teams. So if you're familiar with Deer Creek, on the other side, there's a driveway going up to the Weber residence. And there was a search party over there. I don't know how many. I can't remember. It don't matter because they're over there, dude. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the bodies. But they had noticed some articles of clothing that in the creek on the other side of the ditch bank somehow, I don't know, communicated with the team that was on the other side. And the team was located. But so there were law enforcement officials as part of those teams? No. Guys, this is something to put a pin in. Page 29, number 7, 8, and 9. Were any law enforcement officers part of either one of those teams on either side of the bank? No. Line 9. All civilians? Yes. Interesting, I must say. I mean, guys, my conspiracy theories constantly come true. This is like a flower that's unfolding. Just every day that goes by, every new document that comes out, everything someone else says, that every new piece of information, it's an unfolding flower. This is a flowering revelation or confirmation of all the conspiracy theories. Did you at any point in time yourself ever sit down and speak with each of those individuals? No, I did not. But you think each of them had been consulted by law enforcement at some point after this? Yes, I do. Every one of those people in each of those teams, I can tell you the main search party members. I think off the top of my head, I could tell you their names. And I know for a fact they were interviewed. And he says, I know for a fact that those main ones, who are not, okay, question here. Who's in a search party that's not considered main? Because we're asking who's in the fucking search party. I'm pretty sure they were interviewed multiple times, the main ones. Do you want their names? I mean, no. Okay. Do you have a list of them? I mean, I know it's part of Discovery, but do you have a comprehensive list of those two? Oh, yeah. You're talking about how many people in total between two search teams. I don't know about the one on the other side, but I think there was 405 in the team that actually located the girls, and no cops. So you're talking about the north side. I think we've been referring to that as the north side, but the trail side of the creek, I guess. Yes. The Mere side of the creek would be one good way. Yes, sir. And the other side would be the Weber, basically. That would be a good way to describe it, yes. Okay, I'll try to remember that. Let's move on. Let's talk about voice data. So we're all familiar that there is this particular recording of this phrase, down the hill. You know what we're talking about? Right. Yes. Was there ever any attempt to analyze the actual audio associated with that recording? Yes, there was. Tell me what that attempt was and what the results were. Well, we tried to contact anybody that would be able to analyze that voice. And I don't remember, there were several different agencies that did that. And they all said there wasn't enough to analyze. So the length of that audio recording was just not enough. There wasn't enough content. Correct. Is that the same response you get from pretty much everybody you talk to? Yes. Well, then how in the hell was Brian Harshman allowed to sit his ass on the stand and say that voice belongs to Richard Allen? If several agencies, everyone that law enforcement contacted said there wasn't enough to analyze, how did the Indiana State Police how were they allowed to sit someone on the stand and say, I know that voice belongs to Richard Allen? You see, this is why we're saying this is a wrongful conviction. It's a cover-up. You had several different agencies that could not analyze, and they all said there wasn't enough to analyze, the length wasn't enough, and you got the response from everybody you talked to, yes, except for Brian Harshman, who was allowed to sit his ass on the stand and say, yeah, that voice belongs to Richard Allen, because I've heard some phone calls from jail. Actually, I don't remember the company's name that actually tried. The rest of them did not. I have to look at a report to tell you exactly what company that attempted, but they said the same thing at all the other companies told us. There's not enough, because we told them how long it was, and they said, there's just not enough. Where was the company that tried it? Michigan. There you go with your Michigan folks. You don't remember the name? Not off the top of my head. Sorry. You ever worked with them before? No. Have you ever been in any investigation you ever been involved in, taken in an audio recording and had that voice analysis done? I'm going to use that phrase loosely. No, I've not personally ever done it. No. So there was an attempt. It really wasn't fruitful. Correct. Is that the kind of a way of looking at it? Let's talk about the photo of, I'll call it the famous photo of Bridge Guy. We all know who we're talking about, right? Yes. Was there ever any attempt to take that photograph and essentially analyze the photo to determine the dimensions of the Bridge Guy? Yes. Tell me what you did and what conclusions were drawn. All right, this is going to be interesting. We again contacted several companies, and engineers at Purdue, I remember, was one of them, and they all said that they would not be able to get a height and weight from that picture because there was too many unknowns. There wasn't a known object to be able to measure and compare to. This is a fucking bridge. And we had one company, the same company, I'm forgetting the name, from Michigan, saying that they could. Michigan again. They had a new tool that they were using, but the success rate was like plus or minus 2 inches. And it was going to cost quite a bit of money and unified millions of dollars. And you couldn't afford to have this this parallax or whatever you call it. You couldn't figure out by the video or the photograph and the bridge dimensions and the angle. Come on, man. Willful ignorance. Why? Because if that guy is something like 5'11", 6, 6.5 feet tall, if that guy is in other words, hear what I'm saying. He's saying 2 inches. 2 inches is in anywhere, either way. So what is Richard Allen, like 5'4" or something? So in other words, if they did that math and they figured that that guy was like 6'2", 6'4", 5'11", then it can't be Richard Allen, because you take 2 inches leeway from 5'11", that's still 5'9". If Richard Allen is 5'4", it can't be Richard Allen. So you couldn't do that job, because if you did that job and it gave you the answer you didn't want to be able to use for Richard Allen, then you'd be fucking stuck with it because it'd be on the record. So once again, the way that you achieve this is you don't do it, just like showing the lineup to the eyewitnesses. Two inches. But this was going to cost quite a bit of money. And Unified Command, along with Prosecutor McClellan, decided that plus or minus 2 inches isn't going to help. So we didn't have them do that. How much money would you say that would cost? Tens of $1,000s? I don't remember. Bullshit. It's not tens of thousands of dollars. Come on, man. Tens of thousands of dollars to do a simple piece of work like that? No, I would guess maybe 4,000, 6,000, 4 to 6,000. Forgive me for being a lawyer, but this is what I do. Did they send you like a quote or something? If it was a private company, they send you like an actual quote? I don't think I have a quote. So Rozzy was trying to nail down this bullshit story, right? Did they send you an email with a free quote? I don't have a quote. I mean, we actually did business with them on some other stuff. Obviously, they attempted to do the voice analysis. Oh, same company. So I'm sure there's an invoice of what we paid for it. But when they came back with this new tool that they thought might work plus or minus 2 inches, at that time we decided not to do it. Yeah, but if, like I'm saying, if the guy is 8 inches off of Richard Allen's height, wouldn't that be exculpatory? Wouldn't it be exculpatory? 2 inches might matter if the guy's 6'4". Do you remember how much you paid for the other? I don't. 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 20, 0 to 5, 0 to 5. In the thousands, yes, 1,000. So 0 to 5,000 for the voice analysis, but it's going to cost tens of thousands for the visual analysis. Come on, man. That's bullshit. Okay, I'm not going to spend a ton of time with this, but you say they were no known objects. They talk about things like railroad ties and things. We did all of them, but they said that they needed something vertical, not horizontal. This is bullshit. So you weren't able to draw any conclusion regarding this particular type of analysis, is what you're telling me. That same company gave us their estimated height, and I don't recall it. I would have to find the report. There was multiple people that gave us estimated heights, but again, it's going to be basically what we put out with the photo. I forget what the exact, but it's very broad. Well, what have we here? What have we here? You had several estimated heights, and you decided not to pay for the actual analysis because of 2 inches? What were those estimated heights? They wouldn't be something like 5'11", 6'2", 6'4", would they? They wouldn't be so far from Richard Allen's short stature that it would be exculpatory. So then you had to not use that analysis. I mean, dude, like I said, when I say critical thinking is very simple, right? It's very simple. You think of the whys and the why nots. He had bad coaching on this response. So once again, that same company gave us their estimated height, and I don't recall it. I'd have to find a report. There were multiple people that gave us estimated heights, but again, it's going to be basically what we put out with the photo. So what you're saying is they didn't employ whatever technology they had in doing that because you didn't pay them for it, right? Correct. They just kind of gave you a layman's, I'll say layman's. They just looked at it and showed you what they thought. Yes. Okay. I'm sure they use some sort of technology. But he said that was their estimate without using the new tool. Okay, so money basically got in the way on this multi-million-dollar trial. I think not necessarily money. We paid the 10,000. I would say the more so the inaccuracy. I mean, plus the minus are 2 inches. You know, I don't think that's going to help you or us. It's just too broad. Boy, this is rich. And we're only on page 36. There's 400 pages. All right. Let's talk about DNA. Hopefully this will be quick. Are there any DNA findings or conclusions that connect Richard Allen to these two girls? Possibly. Tell me about that. So there is DNA, right? This is confusing. Okay, Jerry Holman, I'm sure it confuses you. Let's hear about the DNA and Richard Allen. Were there any DNA profiles extracted from the crime scene? Let me start there at the most basic level. Yes. So we got DNA profiles at the crime scene. Yes. Tell me where that was. Again, I'd have to refer to the reports, but there was an insufficient amount of DNA, male DNA, mixed with the girl's DNA, their blood. And our forensic scientists say that they tried to amplify that as best they could. And without consuming the sample, they stopped. And we've reached out to many independent the chat's in the way. I can't see the word. Agencies, maybe, or companies. We reached out to many independent companies. And there's no independent company right now that can amplify that mixed DNA. But we know it's male DNA mixed with the girl's DNA. Okay. So the profile is not large enough. That's probably not the right technical word. But there's not enough of a profile to test it without destroying it, consuming it. Yes. Okay. Even though, or even through the mitochondrial process. Yes. And I think I'm stepping over my knowledge of DNA. Me too. But that's what I've been told by our forensic DNA analysis is that there's nowhere right now. They're saying, 5 years. That's what they told us 6 years ago. In 5 years, there might be new technology coming in, and there is some, but that's not where it needs to be yet. And they're monitoring that for the see if technology catches up with the science, and they'll be able to maybe determine whose DNA that is. Well, why don't we get on that? Why don't we get on that state-of-the-art DNA laboratories around the world? This is the most high-profile case in America, okay? Can we test this DNA? I'm not sure exactly what you said, but it was part of the blood from the girls? Yes. Explain that to me. If I remember correctly, there was some male DNA. Remember, we're talking about male DNA found on Liberty, her blood on her chest somewhere. I can't remember which side. I'd have to refer to the report with male DNA. But at such a low level, they cannot produce a profile. And then there was some on a sweatshirt, but Abby was wearing that sweatshirt. And I think that one had both girls' blood and is unknown male DNA. Those two spots, at least two that I recall. Okay. And there's some more too. Sorry. There's some more DNA. Okay, we're talking about the crime scene right now. Yep. So let me ask you this. So were there any conclusions drawn that Rick Allen's DNA was at the crime scene? Not at this point, no. What the fuck? Hold on. Didn't he just say, let's back that up. Because I want you to see the manipulation here. Page 36, are there any DNA findings or conclusions that connect Richard Allen to these two girls? Possibly. Is there any conclusion drawn that Rick's DNA was at the crime scene? Not at this point, no. What the fuck? Possibly. Oh, no. All right, then let's talk about beyond the crime scene. Have there been any other DNA analysis done that would tie Rick Allen to the crime? Rephrase or repeat that, please. I will. Have there been any other DNA analysis conducted by the lab that would connect Rick Allen with this crime? Here we go again with the bullshit. Potentially. Tell me about that. It would be the similar answer I gave a minute ago. There was an unknown male DNA found on the intact 40 caliber round, but it was male DNA and it was at such a low level that they could not produce a profile without consuming it. Are you guys starting to pick up on a pattern yet? Are we picking up on a pattern yet? So you got male DNA on each of the bodies, male DNA on the bullet. All possibly Rick Allen's, but no, we haven't been able to connect to Rick Allen yet. Maybe it's a ghost. Maybe it's a ghost who killed the girls who's like just has a little DNA. It's a male ghost. And this ghost, when he manifests, he's able to kill kids, and because he's just physical enough to just have like a tenth of the DNA of any normal person. And so as he's killing these kids and touching the bullet, he just leaves a tenth of the normal amount of DNA, or maybe 1%. Who knows what the numbers are? Because we're not told. We're just saying not enough, insufficient. Okay. So the answer to my question, is there any DNA that connects Richard Allen to this crime? The answer is no. You can't put ... at the present time, but that's always the case, right? Sure. So the answer is no. Potentially yes, but right now, no. It could be your DNA on the bullet. It could be mine, right? Good one, Bradley Rossi. Good one. That's a little snark there, Mr. Rossi. Good one. It could be yours, Holman. Especially on that bullet, I would say. No, I don't think so. Realistically, no. No, but yes, but no, it could be. But I don't want to get into this today. What a moment. Page 40. I don't know where that bullet came from. Here's what I do know. Your thought that there is DNA that might connect Richard Allen to this is not supported by any scientific or forensic evidence at this time, is there? At this time, no. There you go. That's a fact. It's like pulling teeth to get a fact out of Jerry Holman. You've explained to me very kindly that there are samples or partial profiles, is probably the right phrase, that are lying kind of waiting, maybe, to be tested later. But is there anything active going on in terms of DNA testing? Not to my knowledge. Were there items that were taken from Richard Allen's home from which profiles were extracted? There were multiple items taken from his home. To my knowledge, there was nothing indicating any of the girls' DNA or anything like that. Once again, hello. This is for the new folks. Sorry to be annoying, but new folks, I get annoying when it's something you should probably listen to twice. So let's go. We're going to go with another, oh my God. Hello.
Oh my God.
All right. So you went through his entire home. Multiple items taken. He says there were multiple items taken. To my knowledge, there was nothing indicating any of the girl's DNA or anything like that. So just to get right to the point, you didn't find any of the girl's DNA on any of his property, correct? Correct. All right, let's talk about two-mark evidence. You mentioned that a minute ago. So you're aware that this unspent cartridge was recovered from the scene, right? Yes. In your opinion, what's the significance of that cartridge to this crime? Well, it had 3 extraction marks on it, and I don't recall the first time we met with the lab, but it was early on. I'm going to say within the first 6 months, and they talked about the DNA that you and I just talked about and other things. But one of the things that stands out in my mind was a firearm tool mark extraction expert. I don't know what the exact title is, but she was at the meeting. She said that those marks were made by more likely a Sig Sauer or possibly a Smith & Wesson, but she was leaning towards Sig. And she said that if we find the weapon, the gun that extracted the round, she would be able, without a doubt, to match that up. Without a doubt? That's what she said. Those were her words? Well, those are my words, but that's what those are pretty strong words. You can see me taking notes right now. Yeah, she said that she would be able to match that up unequivocally. Whatever word you want to use, 100%. She said that the marks were so good that she would be able to, and there were multiple that she would be able to, and that was early on. So at any time we got a tip on somebody or anything like that, if we asked them if they had a weapon and what kind of weapon, and if anybody had a 40 caliber, we sent it down for testing. I don't know how many. I know that there was multiple before Richard Allen's. Was this person Melissa Oberg? Yes. I didn't know if there was somebody else involved other than her. No, there were other. Her supervisor was there too, and through her training us on 2-mark evidence, another thing that stands out in my mind is that she compared it to a paternity test. She said there's more error in a paternity test than there is in the test that she does to compare extraction marks, and that was pretty powerful to me. Brother, I don't think we too smart, dude. I don't think we're too smart here. I mean, so you allow this lady who says that she's never been wrong in her life to tell you that there's more error in a paternity test than there is to some random extractions that she can't even reproduce on with Richard Allen's gun on a round. Paternity test? You realize paternity tests are like 100%. I would say her tool mark analysis is 1%. Junk science. Extraction marks are junk science. You have a not. Razi is funny as shit. Line number 15. You have a lot of working knowledge of paternity tests? I do not. No. I just know that a lot of times people I deal with, have to have those paternity tests, and they say they're like 99.9% the father, and that's pretty accurate. So in my mind, paternity tests are pretty accurate. So what I'm saying, if she's comparing that to her test, then I think. So she's comparing it to a different type of test that you don't have any knowledge of. You just heard that they're accurate. She compared it to others too, but yeah, Okay. After you received those laboratory results from Miss Oberg, what, if any, concerns were raised amongst law enforcement about the reliability of them? We had unified command. We had meetings. We spoke with her. We scheduled a meeting with her. Meetings are good. Me like food. Me like meeting. Me like donuts. Coffee. Coca-Cola. Little boys. And hot dogs. I don't think there was any concerns. No one's concerned about the accuracy, not to my knowledge, or the value of those findings. If there were any concerns after she met with us and explained everything, there was no concerns about the accuracy of her testing. Was there ever any discussion about seeking out the opinion of an independent analyst? Not to my knowledge. You're working with somebody who works for you, right? Absolutely. But there was never any discussion about, hey, let's go get somebody and get a second opinion before we jump on this? No. Was there anyone amongst Unified Command Well, it sounds like kind of it morphed a bit, but there were some changes in officers from what I understand over time. But were any of those people that were involved in this circumstance concerned about the reliability of those results? Not to my knowledge, no. Okay. Who was all there when this meeting occurred? When you met with this Miss Oberg, if you recall? Prosecutor McClelland, myself, Jerry Holman, uh, Tony Liggett, Jay. No, I don't think Jay made it. Brian Harshman, and I believe we had some U.S. Marshals helping us at the time. One or two of those. Actually, David Vito. He was in on it. I mean, no, he wasn't there. But I had a conference call so he could hear. He couldn't see, but he could hear, and I feel like there was more than that. But I probably should. Steve Mullen. So this was unified command plus a few extras, plus a few that were helping with the investigation. Wow, that's all of the fucking corrupt cops. Those are literally like all of the liars. Was there any discussion with Ms. Oberg about the divide that exists in what I'll call the scientific community about these tool mark analysis and extraction results? I believe she talked about, obviously, there's people that don't agree with certain scientific testing. She touched on it, but I don't recall what the group is, or this or that. Do you remember what she told you? The only thing I can remember, honestly, is there was a group, and obviously defense attorneys believe that group that it's not accurate. But she used information and experience and training, science, investigation, information, accurate, experience, and training, and she has to but she used information and experience and training, and she has to make me believe that it is accurate. So there was some discussion about the theory behind this discipline. Sure, above and beyond just that the results were found. Yes. Hey, this is what we're gonna be dealing with from the other side. Well, yeah, any investigation, we know you're going to try to suppress evidence and challenge our findings. Yes, we knew that. Do you remember her saying anything to you about judges that have found that this stuff is not reliable? No, I do not. You don't remember any discussion about that? If there was, I don't remember. Is there any ongoing two-mark testing or analysis in this case? Not to my knowledge. Other than your opinion regarding this cartridge in this gun, is there any other forensic tool, mark evidence that connects Richard Allen with that crime scene or this crime? I should be asking more broadly. Any forensic technology, any kind of tool mark results that connects him other than this cartridge in this gun that you're talking about? No. Okay. Let's talk about all phones or cell phones. I'm assuming you were able to, you did retrieve some cell phones from Richard Allen's home. Yes. And all those were all pursuant to the search warrant? Yes. Were data dumps conducted with those? Yes. Was there any data generated from those data dumps? Yes. How many phones do you remember, if you do, that were actual dumps from? The only thing I remember about the phones is he had a lot of phones, but he admitted that the phone he had back on February 13th, 14th timeframe that we're talking, he did not have that phone anymore. But I do know that we collected computers, cell phones. I'd have to refer to the reports on how many, and I didn't review the reports that came back. Someone else did. But I know we sent them to our DMRS, or our forensic analysis for cell phones. And I know that they conducted and analyzed the phones. Data dumps? And they analyzed the results? Yes, sir. Were there any results that connected Richard Allen to the crime scene? Not to my knowledge. That's a no. Okay, let's start over. Were there any results that connected Richard Allen to the crime scene? No. Were there any results that connected Richard Allen with either one of these girls? No. Who is your DMRS? I think you said. Who are we talking about? Who is that person? I think they took them up north. So it would have been Scott Kruger in Lowell. He's out of Lowell, but he works for GRIT, which is in Crown Point, which is a task force. But that's where their office is. And that's where all their tools and computers and everything are. The gentleman that's over in Lafayette, that's part of the high-tech crime unit that they have, did they do anything in this case? Not to my knowledge. I can't remember his name. Sean Leshney. Exactly. Is that who you're talking about? Yes. No. So I'm assuming you also were able to dump some data from either one or both of the girls' phones. Just Liberty. Abby did not have a phone at all. She was not allowed to have a phone. Where have we heard that before? Family. See, why is he repeating this family's narrative? We know that she had a phone. So you just believe that, generally speaking, she did not have a phone of her own? Yes. At any point before this or around the time this happened? Yes. Okay. So with Libby's phone, when you dumped the data, was there any data on there that connected her in any way with Richard Allen? No. You see how he likes to say not to my knowledge when he doesn't like the answer? You see how he does? When he doesn't like the answer, he either says possibly or not to my knowledge, but he just won't say no. He doesn't like answering in the negative when it doesn't befit him. Have you discovered any data on any phones in this investigation that connected Richard Allen with Kagan Klein? No. What about Richard Allen with any other person of interest or suspect in this case? No. But since he doesn't like that answer, he says this. I'm not sure that's been conducted. I mean, you called him a person of interest, suspect, but anybody that received a tip on doesn't necessarily mean they're a suspect, person of interest. Somebody that you thought might have been involved in this crime. No, not to my knowledge. No. So you see, the answer is no, but he's doing the same thing again. Come on, Sergio, page 51. Let's go. In other words, have you found, let's go back to the question that triggered this one. What about Richard Allen with any other person of interest or suspect in the case? The answer is no. So nothing connects to the crime scene. Nothing connects to the girls. Nothing connects to Keegan Klein. Nothing connects to any other person of interest. No. But he uses, what is this? Eight lines of, well, I don't know what person of interest is. I don't know what the person is. I mean, you don't want to get a tip, and tip and ain't that person of interest. Not to my knowledge. No. God have mercy, man. So, woosah, right? Let's talk about geoforensics, okay? Now we're getting outside my realm of expertise. Me too, no kidding. Do you know what that means generally? I know you're talking about putting up geofences. Yes, generally, yes. Okay, was gathering that information in this case, was it helpful to your investigation? Yes. Okay, did any of the information that you gathered from this geofencing, from these efforts, connect Richard Allen with these crimes? He was in the geofence, okay? Now this is something. He was in the geofence, but more than likely his phone was at his residence, it appears. What does that mean? Page 51, lines 24 and 25. He was in the geofence, but more than likely his phone was at his residence, it appears. Fucking non-answer that is. He said he was using his phone, but we have no evidence that that occurred. You also didn't or don't have the phone that he was using, right? Correct. What you're saying is that with the geofence itself, you were able to detect the existence of his phone? It was after, later on in the evening. I don't know the time. I don't want to give you inaccurate information, but not necessarily the exact location of it. Correct. You just know it was within a certain range, right? And within that range was, I assume, most of the city of Delphi and his home. Yeah, the crime scene, his home. Yeah, pretty close. Another fucking 19 lines of bullshit, right? So basically, later in the evening, they see that his phone is in the area of Delphi at his home when he's home, like he said. Jesus, man. But you see how he does it again. So let's back it up to line 16 here, because it's funny how, look at how the effort to put this on Richard Allen is so amazing. Look, he says, and within that range was, I assume, most of the city of Delphi in his home. And look at his very first response. Yeah, the crime scene. Why'd you say that, dude? The question was, within that range was most of the city of Delphi and his home. Yeah, and the crime scene. And his home pretty close. Wasn't overly helpful, basically. No, it was not. Okay, let's talk about social media activity. Okay, do you believe that your law enforcement team conducted, I'll call it an exhaustive search regarding the social media activities regarding the girls at or near the time this crime was committed? Yes. And have you found any information in the course of that part of the investigation that connects Richard Allen to the girls? No. And what about any information that would connect Richard Allen to the crime scene, social media? Social media only, no. Any social media activity that connects Richard Allen to any suspect in this case? Once again, not to my knowledge. The answer is no. No social media that connects Richard Allen to any suspect, to the crime scene, or to the girls. Again, he asked everything again. Let's talk about Richard Allen's social media activity specifically. Did you have a chance to conduct an investigation into that activity? Me personally, no, but it has been done. Yes. And from what you know, or from your knowledge, was there any information that was discovered in the course of that investigation that was of interest to your team through social media? Yeah. No. So in other words, social media, clear. Crime scene, clear. Other suspects, clear. Keegan Klein, clear. The girls, clear. Have you discovered, or I'll say, has your team discovered any social media activity in this case that you believe is connected in any way to this crime? Yes. I think I already know what you're going to say, but just tell me to make sure. What is it? Are you talking about social media? Anybody? Any social media activity you think was connected with this crime? So, Anthony Schatz is a fictitious profile used by Keegan Klein. And he was somebody using Anthony Schatz was communicating with the girls that day, that morning. It's your opinion that those communications were connected with the act that occurred, the criminal act? I believe that those communications were why the girls went to the bridge. Which led to the homicide. But do you think that the homicide was just coincidental? I mean, it could be. I mean, obviously, stranger things have happened. No, I do not know. I've said before, y'all, like, what are the odds of these two girls being victimized by two different predators in two entirely different scenarios at the same day and the same time? What are the odds that one predator or two lured them out there to the bridge to meet them? What are the odds that that happens? One predator lures them out there to victimize them. And then what are the odds that an entirely different predator also coincidentally, simultaneously, in the same nexus of space and time, lures them out there or meets them out there and victimizes them? Like, what are the odds? It's got to be one in I don't know, 500 million. Are you still investigating that actively? Are you still investigating? As far as, well, just the nature and the connection between those social media communications and Rick Allen. Yes. Is that basically encompassed by what you mentioned to me earlier, interviewing people? Can you, let me withdraw the question. Okay. Tell me what you are doing actively to try and connect the dots between those social media communications and Richard Allen. Okay, yeah. Well, I said earlier, as far as still searching the phone data, still interviewing people to see if there was any connection with Kagan Klein. And it should be noted, too, I forgot earlier when you asked a question about if we thought Kagan could be possibly associated with Richard Allen. One of his first statements with his other attorney, he said, he accused his dad of doing it. But in his first statement, he said, it was my dad and a friend of his in Delphi. And that's as close as we've gotten so far to any type of connection, anybody with Keegan or his father, Jerry Anthony Klein. Question, how many years have Noe and I been telling you that this is what Keegan says? I mean, since you like going back and fishing out my 2 or 3 year old live streams to find me saying something weird or different where I've changed my mind, how about you go back and find me saying exactly this at a time when no one knew this? Oh, of course, that's going to give me credibility. It's going to show that I'm honest, trustworthy, and I did my work. But no, of course you won't do that. Of course you won't. But you'll make some hate posts, you'll shit talk, you'll smear pest, and you'll do live streams in jealousy and rage. It's fine. Okay. Tony Klein didn't acknowledge any connection with Richard Allen, did he? No, he has not. He's denied that connection? Yes, he's denied it. Let's talk about computers. You rounded up some computers from Mr. Allen's residence, or at least some hard drives. Are you aware of that? McClellan. McClellan don't like that. Judge. Is now a good time for a break? Is this a good place to take a break? What? Oh, yeah. I need to use the restroom real quick. I kind of wanted to stop at a topic break here. I bet you he wanted to talk with Jerry and say, look, don't answer that question. So, of course, there's probably some collusion here. All right. But then we're back here I realize I overlooked a couple questions about social media before we get on to computers. Have you discovered any social media related evidence that connects anyone else to the scene of the crime? No. Have you discovered any social media evidence, activity, or evidence that connects anyone else to either one of the girls? Not to my knowledge, no. What the fuck does that mean? There's all kind of people connected to those girls. See, this is a bullshit answer. Line number 18, page 57. Bullshit. Listen to the question and listen to the response. Have you discovered any social media evidence, activity, or evidence that connects anyone else to either of the girls? Not to my knowledge, no. Dude, there's all kind of people connected to those girls. I mean, first of all, they have friends, they have family, they have classmates, they have cousins. They probably have strangers like Anthony Schatz that they've also talked to on the internet. Come on, do you really think Anthony Schatz is the only fake guy they talk to on the internet? Didn't we hear before that Kelsey and Bree were enjoying catfishing Libby just to play pranks? Have you ever discovered any evidence or activity that connects anyone else to the girls? No. Come on, man. That's a oh man. Anyway, anywho. Oh my God. Okay, anyway, I asked you about computers. So were there computers or hard drives that were taken from Richard Allen's residence? Or they were. Are you familiar with that? I am. Was there any information extracted from those devices that in any way connected him with these crimes? No. All right, haters. Troll Farm. Troll Farm. Holly Lowry. Troll Farm. Did his computers, his entire IP, all the Google searches, everything he's ever had on any computer, on any hard drive, on any phone, on anything in his life, in his house at all whatsoever, ever connect him to these crimes? No. Come on, man. You bloodlusters going to have to get your heads out of your asses. No. Let's talk about some other type of forensic shit. We'll start with fingerprints. Any fingerprints extracted from the scene? No. Oh, is that true though? Is that true? Because we had two people say things. We had Tobe Lesenby say that there were fingerprints at the scene, and we had Julie Melvin say that there was a fingerprint that blew off of a car that because it was put on a car in a box or some kind of shit, and when the fucking cop drove off, some shit flew out. Remember that rumor from a few years ago? Remember the interview with Tobe wherein he says there's like a fingerprint that's smudged? Does Holman not know this case? Line number 6, page 58. Was there any discussion amongst Unified Command about how there was a lack of that evidence? I'm sure there was, yes. Not one profile was extracted from anywhere around that scene, right? Usable profiles, no. Okay, were there any partials? Partial profiles, yes. We talked about earlier, yes. I'm talking about fingerprints. No fingerprints. No. How many no's? Is that Sergio says if it's 3, it's lying? Okay, no fingerprints. I see 3 in one response. No fingerprints. No fingerprints. What about shoe prints? Any profile prints? Shoe prints? Understanding that that's a little different than fingerprints. Right. That were extracted from the scene. They were photographed, but not extracted. Oh, Prof was right again. Remember I told you there were some shoe prints? Yeah? Remember I told you there were footprints? Remember I told you those were photographed? And you remember I also told you that they were later obfuscated, that after they saw and photographed the footprints, somebody went and disturbed them to hide them permanently. That's what I heard. Were those analyzed? No, 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 not to my knowledge. We looked at them. I don't think they've been analyzed per se. Was there any attempt to take those photographs and offer them up to some kind of an analysis? No. Has that ever been done before? No. Is there a process for taking shoe prints and having them analyzed? There is. That would be crime scene investigators would do that. So they would have more knowledge of it than I would. Whatever it wasn't done in this case. No. Why? I was told that when they found the footprints, there was a search party on the other side, and there was just there was so many. They just photographed them, and they weren't able to determine if it was actually involved in the crime. So some of it had to do with just the raw volume of prints that were in the area. Yes. Were there any that you were aware of that were photographed or discovered on the Mears side of the creek? That means Ron Logan's property. Not to my knowledge. No, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah. What does Sergio say about the no yes? Let's talk about surveillance video. Okay. I commented on this yesterday. There's a lot of surveillance video in this case. Thousands of hours of video. Yes. And you're generally familiar with the locations where a lot of that video came from and circumstances. Somewhat familiar, yes. Was there any surveillance video that was collected in this case that connected Richard Allen to that particular crime scene? Yes. Tell me what it was. Hoosier Harvest Store. There's a video of a vehicle matching the vehicle that he owned. Really? I mean, there's a similar sort of vehicle, but the quality's so poor, and you don't know if he's coming or going, and you don't even know an accurate time. It just makes no sense. We have that big. I believe it was a black car he said he was driving at the time. He parked at the old CPS building. He referred to it as something else. Then how do you know it was that? This is another clusterfuck for you new people in the case. Is they are fitting square pegs in round holes. Okay, they're fitting square pegs in round holes. And one of the things they do that with is his vehicle passing in the camera. Okay. Thanks for the balloons and the thumbs ups. I love it. All right. Thank you. So he says he parks somewhere else. When he describes the way that he drives there, he's way somewhere else. What the state says is no, he parked at that old CPS building that we subsequently had demolished, just like they had half the bridge demolished. Just like they had the Flora house demolished. All right. Anyway, skip it. It's not worth talking about. He's talking about the car. I don't know. Was there any surveillance video that you recovered that contained any information about Richard Allen's whereabouts on February 13th, 2017, other than the Harvest Store video? No. Something from here in town or his employer or anything like that? No. Is there any surveillance video that contains images of Richard Allen at the trail on February 13th of 2017? No. All right. Let's talk about what I've titled here as hate crimes, okay? That's kind of my general description. Did any part of your investigation focus on the possibility that these deaths could have resulted from a hate crime? Yes. Of some sort? Yes. Tell me what the focus was. The focus was how the bodies were found and that they had sticks laid on top of them. And then I forget the exact investigator brought up a term called Odinism. So Sergeant Steve Buckley reached out to a professor at Purdue that he actually was out of the country at the time. And we did not release the photos, but we released a sketch of the sticks and how they were laid and some other information. And that Purdue professor, I can't remember his name. Oh, you knew his name, Jeffrey Turco, said that it was not Odinism or any type of cult worshiping or any type of a group that would have conducted the crime, which is an abject lie. Remember, this was the thing that Baldwin pointed out as straight up deception, because Turco's words were very different. Remember this? Remember this? So I can't remember this Purdue professor's name who said that this is not Odinism or any type of occult worshiping or any type of a group that would have conducted this crime. So let's if we're detecting deception, let's then turn it inside out and do the inverse. Well, what's probably the truth? Let's see. It's probably Odinism or a type of occult worshiping and a type of a group that conducted this crime. It's a group, cult, Odinist thing, according to the Purdue professor and others. And then we reached out to a private company and got a retired Pennsylvania state trooper and a retired psychoanalyst and a psychiatrist. I can't remember which. It might be both. I don't know. I can't remember their names. And a retired trooper was probably in it. They teach classes for a group on crime scene analysis and hate crimes. And they were up here for a week and they reviewed the data and said it was not a hate crime. FBI's BAU looked at it. I don't remember if they determined one way or the other. We also had U.S. Marshals BAU, Behavioral Analysis Unit, look at it, and she said it was not anything related to a hate crime. And it was, her team was an undoing. It laid the sticks not to touch the body. Sounds like the FBI, the U.S. Marshals fucked it up. That's not an undoing. They laid the sticks not to touch the body, but the other stick over to block the wounds that Richard Allen created on the girls. Why does he speak that way? Put the stick over to block the wounds that Richard Allen created on the girls. It was called an undoing. There was no signs of any type of hate crime. Well, according to Don Perlmutter, it's absolutely a hate crime. Oh, we got the thumbs down. Okay, thanks, haters. Let me do you a little favor, haters. I'll give myself some love. Watch. Thanks for the haters. That's how I know you guys come in. Every time you guys come in is when I'm hitting on this shit that really hits. So I'm not talking about your crime. You love coming in. You love coming in when I'm talking about the crimes you committed, to brutal murder of two beautiful little girls. You just love coming in, hit the thumbs down on that. Yeah. I know you love killing little kids. I know. It's horrible. You guys are weirdos, man. All right. Thank you. Thanks for all the love, Prof. All right. All right. Yeah, they're going through the professor. I'll kind of skip over it a bit. This is where he's just kind of trying to sidestep the professor. And they're getting a time frame, so I'll skip some of this. It's a long document. So, is there any recording, audio, or video of the particular conversation with the meeting with the FBI? No. Oh, how nice. Why was none of that memorialized? We asked for a report, and they didn't give us a report. They said they wanted us to have a phone conversation. So we agreed to have a phone conversation with the FBI, that analyst. Why not record it, dumbass? I mean, I can record phone conversations, and I'm just a little YouTuber sitting in prof world behind a computer screen. I can record all my conversations if I want to, and sometimes I do. You couldn't record a conversation as important as this with the FBI profilers? Forgive me, but cops document about every step they take these days. Why would the FBI not want you to do that? You'd have to ask the FBI. Why wouldn't they want to put it in a report? Ask the FBI. You didn't ask the FBI? No, I did not. Why not? They said they wanted to relay the information to us via phone, and we agreed to have them do that. Why not record the fucking phone call? What about the U.S. Marshals? When did that occur? More recently, 21 or 22. Why was it in that inquiry? Why is it, or why was it that inquiry was made with the U.S. Marshals in 21 or 22? Just getting more opinions. The U.S. Marshals came into the investigation later, so they said, hey, we have this. We want to try to use this resource. We agreed to use the resource. So you had been through 3, I'll say, inquiries about this, and then you chose to do this with the Marshals? Yes. And was that memorialized in a document? I believe there's a record. Yes. What was their conclusion that was drawn? Same as I told you earlier. That I think it was a she. I can't remember her name either, but she stated that it was an undoing. That's where the undoing reference came from, was the U.S. Marshals? Yes. And that's the you recall them using or her using? Yes. Were any of these particular inquiries driven by anything above and beyond what you saw at the crime scene, like the sticks and all that? No. Was there any information that you received by any tipsters? I'll call them, anyone that assisted this investigation, that there might be some kind of hate crime or extremist group involved with this? Oh, so that was a type of a two-part question. Want me to answer it? Let me break it down for you. I'll use simple words. I know you can't think real fast, so I'll speak real slow. I'll make it a better question. Did you receive any tips during the investigation that suggested that this crime was carried out by a hate group? I'm using that phrase really broadly. Right, I understand your question. No, but I believe there was tips initially. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, guys. I tried to mute it in time. I don't know if I did. Oh, wow. That was a big one. Well, thank you, and apologize to your ears. Hopefully that didn't blow anyone's ears out. All right. Oh, did I get a thumbs down during the sneeze? I deserved it. All right, let's continue. It's going to get good here. What about a crime that was motivated by some extremist group? I hope we're talking about the same thing rather than some random act. Right. Like a cult? Yeah. No, I don't recall any tips. Was there any other information that was generated maybe by the officers in the investigation that suggested, hey, this was carried out by some extremist group aside from the things we talked about at the crime scene? No. The sticks, that's the only reason anybody would have followed up on that, because of how the crime scene was. Yes. So any kind of inquiry that you made to Purdue, to the FBI, to the marshals, to the Pennsylvania law enforcement authorities was all generated by law enforcement means? Yes. And that was basically was driven by the sticks that you talked about earlier? Yes. Any other circumstances at the crime scene that drove law enforcement to inquire about any of that? Not to my knowledge. Be more specific. I might be able to answer that question that you're asking. Well, the wounds on the girls, the location of the bodies, anything at all that was what I would call part of the material part of the crime scene that drove those suspicions. No. Okay, we're on crime scene. Let's talk about that. So in this case, was there or the Kit Kat's in the way. So in this case, what does it say? Jesus, guys. It's in the way. Was there any concerted effort by the law enforcement community to maintain some confidentiality with regard to that crime scene? I don't think there was any words you use. I mean, there's just an understanding as a state police investigator. You don't talk about your investigations with the public or anything like that. There was no, for lack of a better term, gag order put on them at all until later. That's what you're talking about, just the crime scene? Yeah. People that were at the crime scene? No, not to my knowledge. In my experience, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, in my experience in dealing with crime scenes, it's pretty important to try to maintain some privacy with what happened at a particular scene, at least for a period of time, early investigation, right? Yes. The way I understand it is one of the ways to test the veracity of evidence and people maybe making confessions and things is to determine whether or not they had intimate details about the crime scene. Absolutely. And I get the impression in this case that that was pretty important, was to not just go out among the town folk and start telling everybody what happened. That's correct, yes. Because you were wanting to make sure that if there was evidence that came later or individuals that maybe acknowledged some participation in this crime, that what they were telling you was authentic and accurate. Right. We call it protecting the integrity of the case. Oh, protecting the integrity of the case. How about having all the witnesses and family lie and destroying fucking 70 days of recordings and throwing away DNA and fucking, I don't know, goddamn, fucking hiding shit, deleting shit off the, having the sister delete shit off the social media, burying the Keegan Klein angle. I mean, bro, that's protecting the integrity of the case or protecting the integrity of your fucking railroading. I mean, goddamn, man. Man, I'm sorry. I get a little carried away when I hear that. It's just like it comes across as utter bullshit out of his mouth, you know? All right. Sorry, I'm trying to get some fuel. Now, he starts to ask about the crime scene, right? About sharing with anybody with the crime scene. Crime scene. He says, "What about the family?" No. Has that ever been done? Not to my knowledge. I never shared any intimate knowledge of the crime scene, how it was located. I know that some of that information was leaked out by, I believe, search party members. Absolutely. Listen, that family, they've known the crime scene from day one, bro. Come on. All of Delphi has known this from day one. You know why? In a town of 3,000 people, and you got 30 people out there putting their eyes on that crime scene, taking photos, everyone has always known what that crime scene was like. Was that part of your investigation? What? Leaked information. In other words, kind of an investigation within your investigation to figure out who was leaking information? Yeah, we had detectives looking to see who was leaking information. Yes, what prompted you to look into this? Probably social media and things. Probably social media and things. Things that were getting released in social media and podcasts. We were trying to figure out who was giving that information. You were giving that information. Ask Murder Sheet who their source is. Come on, man. Come on, man. Can you give me an example? I'm trying to kind of follow along with you here. I'm thinking more Billy Smith down at the bar talking about things. You're like, wait a minute. He shouldn't know that. Right. Talk to me about social media. What kind of things? The social media. And we call them web sleuths. People on the internet saying this, putting out false information. At some point, I know our public information officers would reach out through the media saying, please don't release false information, because a lot of information that was being leaked was false or exaggerated. Wait, how is it? How is your information? How is it being leaked if it's lies that are being told? A lot of information that's being put out and being released is false or exaggerated. Those darn web sleuths, man. Some of it was accurate. I don't recall specific details of what was released to them. So that was later on in the investigation where we were battling with the podcasters, social media, and also just general. Like you said, Billy Smith down at the bar, but it's intensified now with social media because they can put anything on that internet. Those mean old YouTubers. Remember Doug Carter at the post-sentencing press conference? They really hate the YouTubers. You can say and do anything on the internet. That's what they're saying. Let me translate it. We can't control the internet. We can't control those darn people on the internet. They can just say anything on that internet. As you sit here today, can you recall anything specific? Any specific information from the crime scene that you were involved with, that you followed up with? Is there anything that you have knowledge of in terms of this type of information that you were like, hey, we need to look into this? If you were kind of prioritizing, I get the impression that there were a lot of podcasters talking about a lot of things. Right. I can't think of any specific details, just general information being released. Like you said, it's frustrating to investigators because we want to be able to protect the integrity of the investigation. When we do hear something, either confession or somebody heard something, say something incriminating, then we want to be able to know that they didn't get it off the internet. Did you do a good job as a unit in maintaining the integrity of the scene in this case? I believe so, yes. Do you believe that there were any material breaches of that integrity? Scene integrity? Once we secured the scene, no. So hey, here's a problem, bud. So you're saying there's no cops, no LE involved in the search parties that found the girls, either on this side or this side. That's what you're saying. And you're also saying that when law enforcement arrived, there was an attempt to, what do you call it? Secure the scene. I don't know, man. It just don't sound too good. Did you ever talk to anyone that was either one of those search committees about this problem? That, hey, there's material floating around out here that is of concern to us. No, were you responsible? No, I was not. Did any of your team ever do that? Yes, I don't know who contacted them, but yes, they have been contacted about releasing information. Who? Basically told not to do it? Yes, so I guess to make sure you understand what I'm asking, did you receive some information from any of these internet sleuths or podcasters that you specifically said somebody needs to go talk to this person on that search team about that information? Yes, we did. Okay, can you tell me? What do you recall about that? I believe one of the search members had released some information about the crime scene, so how the girls were found, and I don't know the details, and then someone from the team went and talked to them, David Erskine. Do you know who that search team member was? Yeah. It was Erskine. Tell me everything you remember about that circumstance. Basically what I just told you. I don't know the circumstances. I just know that he had released some information and it got out to web sleuths and podcasters. And then we talked to him and told him, somebody in our team told him and said, shut your mouth. Please withhold that information to help us investigate it. That's classic Rozzy being a smarty pants. Shut your mouth. Do you know if this information was in some type of tangible form or if he was just telling people stuff? I don't recall. But is there a law enforcement official, a police officer, presumably somewhere, that dealt with this? Yes. You just don't know who it is? That's correct. Now, changing gears. Do you believe sex played a role in this particular crime? I believe it was potentially sexually motivated. I don't believe there's any, or the evidence leads me to believe there was not any sexual misconduct with the girls. Yeah, but they were both nude at some point in time. Okay, so there was no touching, so to speak, or anything like that. Could have been touching. There's no signs of sexual activity with the girls. What information have you gathered leads you to believe that it may have been sexually motivated? I think those were your words. How the girls were found. Tell me that. Tell me what you mean by that. Liberty was completely naked, and Abby had at one point had her clothes off. Is that evidence that leads you to believe that this was sexually motivated? Yes. Anything else? No. I think you just told me this, but there's no forensic evidence to support any of that. That is correct. There's no signs of it. And then there's no other, like I'll call it, electronic forensic evidence that supports that either. No. Let's talk about Richard Allen's cooperation, communications with the police, okay? Okay. When did you first become aware that Richard Allen actually reached out to law enforcement authorities early on this case and provided them with information? I don't recall the exact date, but it would have been in 22, end of 22. And how did you come across that information? Tony Liggett. Tony Liggett called me and said that I knew that we were going back and looking at certain documentations to make sure. We've done it multiple times. And he had called me one evening and saying, hey, we found some information. Does the name Richard Allen ring a bell? And I said, no, not off the top of my head. And he told me about that information that they found. Okay. And he told you that. Was it your impression that there had been some work already done, kind of from a law enforcement standpoint, to connect Richard Allen with the scene? Yes. More than just saying, hey, we've got a report that there was a guy that talked to one of our officers. Not much more, yeah. Okay, so what is your understanding about what occurred between Richard Allen and, let's just get to it, Lieutenant Doolin, I think is what somebody told me. Captain. Oh, Captain. I'm sorry, Captain. All right, Cap. You're right. He may be a lieutenant then. At the time when he reached out to them. So what I recall is that there was numerous law enforcement agencies involved. I do recall that Department of Natural Resources being involved. I don't remember specifically who, but obviously Dan Doolin had received a tip to contact Richard Allen. I don't know how he contacted somebody that he was out there, but Dan Doolin met him and he did a handwritten report, and that's pretty much all I know. Yeah, on that. Where's the fucking recording? Where's the recording of that interaction? Oh, yeah, you disappeared that too. Can't find it. Whoops. Another disappeared recording. I mean, I guess a better question is, have you sat down with Officer Doolin and just had a discussion about this? I have not. Why was it that it took, 5 years for this information to be communicated among the group of investigators? That's a great question. I wish I could explain it. So you don't know why? Is that the answer? I don't know why. No. Do you think that there was some error in processing that information? There was an error. I don't know if it was processing or whatever you want to call it, but at some point it got lost in the shuffle and entered incorrectly. That's the story, right? That's the Shank story. So when you say entered incorrectly, you're talking about some kind of data entry that was made? Yes. That may have been partially the cause of this? Yes. Was there any point in time when Richard Allen refused to cooperate with law enforcement in this case? Yes. Tell me when that point in time occurred. I don't know the exact date and time, but we met with Richard Allen at the command center. Oh, trust me, buddy, we've seen it all now. We've seen it. You've all seen it. Steve Mullen and Tony Liggett brought him in, went and picked him up at his house, brought him over and conducted an interview. At some point, he got frustrated with the investigators and stopped cooperating, basically. We asked him for consent to search, consent to give DNA. He did not cooperate in that consent or that capacity. This was shortly before his arrest. Yes, probably couple of weeks before. Were there times when you asked Richard Allen to assist you in this investigation and he did cooperate? I would say that's a fair statement. The answer is yes. Once again, you don't want to say no. You say something else. And when you don't want to say yes, You don't say yes. You say, I would think that's a fair statement. Tell me when those times were that Richard Allen assisted you in this investigation and he cooperated. What happened? I mean, he came in and talked to us the initial time, and he came to the state police post where I had contact with him. So he cooperated in that sense. So on 2 different occasions, you asked him to meet with you and talk about this case, right? Second one. The first one, they went to his house, yeah, and asked him to come in, and he did, yes. Well, is it your opinion that he knew that you were wanting to talk to him about this case on both of those occasions? I think that's a fair statement. No, the answer is yes. In other words, there wasn't any kind of ambush, a surprise attack here. Hey, come and talk to us about your grandmother or something going on to work. And then, no, absolutely. And then on both of those occasions, he came in and sat down and talked to you. Yes. He didn't lawyer up or anything like that. He never asked for legal representation. No. Other than those 2 occasions, and I want to make sure I'm familiar with the facts here, was there a third occasion then you asked him to come in and talk to you? Well, not come and ask. I didn't ask him. Clarify. I went and attempted to talk with him a third time. Yes. And where was that? It was at Westville Correctional Facility. Okay. So we're already on to Westville. So basically there were 2. I'll call them interviews with Mr. Allen, and he cooperated with. And then the third one was when you're saying he wasn't cooperative when he stopped answering questions. Well, he didn't answer any questions the third time. Okay. And I'm saying the first 2 times he was uncooperative because he stopped answering questions, and we asked him to do some things to help us in the investigation. He refused to do them, such as consent to give DNA. Well, that's not refusing to cooperate. You see how they try to use it? You see when you defend yourself, okay, when you defend yourself and exercise your rights after being an idiot, okay, so Richard Allen goes in there like a doofus the first couple times, trusting them, cooperating with them, giving to them, not utilizing his constitutional rights. He goes in there to assist. And even that's not good enough. This is my word to all of you out there. Even that's not good enough. You could go in there 5 or 10 times and try to help. And the minute they decide that they're going to do this to you, they're then going to use that cooperation against you. You see? This is what he's doing. He's using the cooperation against him because he's making a double negative. So he's saying, well, yeah, he came in and cooperated. And when he got sick of us pointing the finger at him and asking for DNA and for consent to search and overstepping the boundaries of respect and sanity, once we crossed that line, then he said, no, I'm not doing this. Anyway, look how he does it. See, he says, I'm saying the first 2 times he was uncooperative because he stopped answering questions when we talked to him. He didn't have to answer a single fucking question in the first place, dude. And we asked him to help do some things in the investigation and refused to do them, such as consent to give DNA. You don't have to consent to that. He don't have to consent to a search of his home. He doesn't have to consent to even fucking talk to you. And consent to search and take a polygraph. He denied all that. He wouldn't cooperate. Like I said, if you go and help, okay, you go in there to help, and it's going to be help up until the moment they decide they're burying your ass, then that help, it is going to be turned into uncooperation. uncooperative, wouldn't cooperate, refused, uncooperative. Anyway, were any of these contacts either audio, videotape? Yes. So you never had contact with him while he was in this community? Let me see what this says. Trial Junkie's in my way now. Let's see. Without audio or video? No, not even when I transported him, I had audio. Even when I transported him. Did you also at some point request some assistance from his wife? Yes. Was she cooperative with you? She did. She came in and interviewed multiple times. I'm not sure how many. Was there ever any time when she wasn't cooperating? No. So then you mentioned there was a third visit at Westville with Richard Allen, right? Yes. When did that occur? I don't expect you to give me the exact date. Again, I don't know the dates, but it was shortly after he was transported up there. I would say maybe within a couple days after, within a week. Who made the visit? It was Steve Mullen, Tony Liggett, and I. Oh my God. Your fucking doughboy trifecta, guys. Your doughboy trifecta. Jesus Christ, man. Why would you get Tony Liggett, Steve Mullen, Jerry Holman standing over you at Westville? Unified Command, Prosecutor McClelland, and the rest of us discuss he has had some time now. He knows we weren't, pulling any punches, so to speak, and he's had some time to think about what occurred. And he had not at any point to our knowledge requested legal representation. So we thought maybe we could go up and clarify some things, get another statement from him. That was the gist of it. Okay, so after you put him in prison, okay, you take a pretrial detainee who's coming in to get his van or something like this. Okay, he's coming in to get a vehicle or something's going on. I can't even remember the fucking story at this point, but he's coming in under some other predication or idea that something else is happening. And then you sit him down, you scream and yell at him like a fucking maniac. Okay? Then you throw him in a maximum security prison with a bunch of fucking murderers in Westville, a shithole, in a cage as a pretrial detainee. You let him fester a few days to let it sink in. Then you three motherfuckers go and stand over him, knowing that he has a lawyer, by the way. Okay, because remember Mr. Gibson, I think his name is. What's his lawyer's name, guys? At that point, Mr. Gibson or something. So he's got a lawyer. But you say to our knowledge, he hasn't requested legal representation. So we thought we could go up and clarify a few things and get another statement from him. Basically, you're wanting to go up there and get a confession. Number 7, line 7, page 87. Absolutely. Okay. Page 87, line 7. They're going there to coerce a confession out of him when they know he has a lawyer. I mean, that's what you do, right? Yeah, that's what we try to do. Let's cut to the chase here. Was there a bona fide, I hate the word plan, but approach that was agreed upon in terms of how you were going to approach him at prison? Yeah. You were going to use a Reed interrogation or some other technique, right? I don't know if anything like that was discussed. I mean, the strategy was that Unified Command felt like I had a better rapport with him, and I was going to go up there and attempt to interview him. Yeah, we saw the last interview. The last interview was you yelling and screaming like a maniac at the point before the camera cut off. Then the camera cuts off. Then the camera cuts back on, and you're still screaming and yelling like a maniac, and you slam the door. That's your better rapport? And you're going to attempt to interview? And tell me what came from that attempt. Brought him in, the correctional facility brought him in into an administration office. I think I said, I'm sure you don't want to see me right now. And he shook his head like he acknowledged that he heard me. And I said, but I would like to sit down and talk to you. And he sat down and I read him his rights. He said, I don't want to talk. So then the correctional facility officers took him back. Was that audio or video recorded? I believe just audio. It could have been video because they were, obviously, that anytime they moved him, they had video cameras. I don't recall. All that was collected by Steve Mullen. And he should have that. Did you take a handheld with you? I did not. To record any important details? I asked, and they said that they had one there for us to use. How odd. They didn't want us to bring. Sometimes they would let us bring a recorder in, depending on where we were going. But at that time, they said they would provide one, I believe. What kind of an extension of what we're talking about? Is there any evidence in this case to suggest that Richard Allen admitted to any responsibility for playing a role in this crime before he was imprisoned? I'm acting stupid now. Can you repeat that? That he said, hey, I did this, or I was involved in this crime before he went to Westville. Not specifically. He made some comments that were concerning. Okay, tell me, what were the comments? He kept saying, it's over. You've ruined my life. It's over. It doesn't matter. At the scene? At the search warrant scene. I'm sorry. So I was at the search warrant. I was securing the scene. You mean in the house? In the home? Yeah, we secured it. And at one point, I had private contact with him multiple times, actually. And he said, it's over. What else did he say? You would have to refer to my report to get that exact. Excuse me. I did do a report. It was not audio recorded. So he didn't specifically say anything in detail about the crime. Or what had happened. No, just concerning. See, this is the troll farm. This is what the troll farm ran with. He said, it's over. He said, you ruined my life. He said, it doesn't matter now. It's over. Yeah. Concerning comment. That's really concerning. He's guilty. That means he's guilty. He's absolutely guilty. He made some concerning Google searches. He made concerning Google what is the scariest movie I can watch? Oh, concerning Google searches. He searched Delphi murders update. Oh, he lives in Delphi. Oh, he watched the news. Concerning. Okay. Was he under any stress at all at the time? Probably a little bit of stress, yeah, I would say. Was he under a little bit of stress? Police were searching his house, that he killed 2 girls, and probably stressing out that we're going to find evidence to prove that. Uh-oh, here we go. What kind of answer is this? Police were searching the house that he killed 2 girls and probably stressing out that we're going to find evidence to prove that. You really believe that? What makes you think that? Have you really convinced yourself of that? He was smoking a lot of cigarettes. All right. Is there any evidence or information to suggest that he admitted to any of these crimes while he was incarcerated here in Delphi? Not to my knowledge. That means no. Same question about White County Jail. Not to my knowledge. That means no. Then when we get to Westville, we're familiar with the phone calls. I don't want to talk about it, but I don't want to get into specific dates and times. But when generally do you believe it was that Richard Allen made any incriminating statements at Westville? Just give me a general time frame. Obviously, you know, I'm going to say I have to look at my report to get the accurate time, but maybe it was March, April, May. So how did those come to your attention? Since he was incarcerated, we were monitoring his communication. Other than with his attorneys, obviously we can't do that. Which means you were, because you were recording his attorney-client visits. Let's be honest here. But we have access for his phone calls, and they're recorded, and they say on there that they're recorded. So from day one, we're listening to his communications with anyone, mostly just his wife, occasionally his mother and father or stepfather, actually. Are you aware that they're actually monitoring his communication with his lawyers at one time, too? I was never told that, just from what you said. You learned that later during the last hearing. That's what you said they were doing. Did you ever call and see if that's was true? No. Did you have any reason to believe what I said? I have no reason to disbelieve you. No. So did you have some kind of, what was the process by which you were monitoring the phone calls? I personally was not. I have access to it, but I'm pretty busy, so we had detectives assigned to do that. It would be David Vito, Brian Harshman, and they would communicate any significant communication. They would report it. Anything significant to the crime. They would not listen to it every day, but you know, again, they're busy too. So I would listen. So they would listen to it frequently. So he probably made that statement a couple days, the initial statement a couple days before we were able to monitor and hear him. So basically, you had a couple officers that were receiving these audio recordings, I assume from Westville, right? We have access to the company. We have access. We just go in there and it's on the computer. We have access to it. What's the name of that company? I knew you were going to ask me that. You don't know? There's different ones. Cass County uses a different one. White County uses a different one. DOC uses a different one. I don't know what the company's called. So basically, somebody is logging on a consistent basis, and they're listening to the phone calls and reporting what they're hearing. Yes, and we're getting routine, and were you getting routine updates about what was being heard on those calls? I was, and it should be all documented in the case report, which you may not have that yet because it's ongoing, fairly new, yeah. So tell me how that gets documented in the case report, supplemental report. Well, then, I mean, like every time somebody listens to a phone call, or they say, and I sat down and I listened to a phone call on April 3rd or whatever, and this is what I heard. Probably not. Well, like a log, I guess, is what I'm thinking. No. They just do a case report on any significant information in the case. I don't think they're saying in the report that they listen to every single phone call. So, for example, if Rick were communicating in a phone call that he hated that place and he wasn't going to make it or he couldn't stand to live there anymore, you might not document that. That would be documented, absolutely. Oh, would it be? Yeah, okay, good. What wouldn't be documented is him talking to his wife about selling the house, stuff like that. Tell you he loves her or whatever, right? But if he was talking about something specific about his detention situation, you would document that. More than likely it would be documented. I'd have to look, but yes. Where's that case report? Is it in your computer, basically? Yes. It's called RMS, Report Management System through the State Police. Okay. So what we're going to do, guys, just a moment. All right, guys. So what we're going to do is pick up on the next live stream from page 95 there. We'll pick it up on part 2. So this will conclude part 1 of Jerry and the Truth. And I'm telling you, you probably should go watch this on replay tomorrow. All of you who were here for the live stream, go rewatch it tomorrow. There's so much in there. It's jam-packed. Okay, this is 400 pages of jam-packed information, a lot of new information, and highly concerning information. So those of you who caught this live, like I said, go check it out tomorrow. Listen to the replay. Take note of the important points because Man, it's a fucking shit show, man. But yo, I appreciate everyone who was here. Okay, I really do. And this will be uh, a multi-part series. It'll be good to have up on the channel for everyone to hear for themselves. I'll put it in a playlist. But I want to give a special shout out to our new member, Short Bus. What up, Short Bus? And also to David Rogers for the super sticker. It's a new day for the super sticker. Anyone want to support me? I would be pleased to receive a Cash App from you at the address scrolling below, or buy me a coffee. I also have a really nice GoFundMe that's up and running to try to support me in the next 6 months to do the content that I want to do here. And what did I want to say? There was something. Damn it. Oh, well, I lost it. But thank you for supporting the channel, for being here and watching. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Those of you on the replay, leave the comments down below. Let us know what you thought about this. God damn, it's a shit show. And if you want to support in the replay, same deal. You can send a super thanks, or you can leave a Cash App or whatever. Thanks for the support of the channel. Thanks for leaving the comments down below, letting us know what you think about this. Because I heard everybody's comments in the live chat, and it's nice having them on the screen like this because I can read them as I'm reading other shit. So it's like I'm doing triple reading. So it's been really nice to see what everyone's chatting about. It's a really good chat tonight. Gonna be a really good conversation in the comments. And trust me, we got a few more episodes to get through of this document. And I don't know, it'll be a great, great thing. So if you have missed my show that I did recently called The Devil Knows, all about Keegan Kline and Anthony Schatz, I really highly recommend, if you're looking for something to go watch my show that's recently gone up as a live stream entitled The Devil Knows. You'll really get something out of it. You'll love it. So thank you for being here. I want to thank all my lovelies in the chat, like Heavy Metal Rehab, Mother of Maesters, Oh Hey Christina, Critter Mama, Sweet Dude Shibby. We got Short Bus, Lisa, Trial Junkie, Miss Pie Crust, Lisa. I said Lisa. Who else is in here? Jake Brooks. Hey, Jake. Long time no see. What up, Jake Brooks? Miss K's in here. Who else is in here? Miss Pie Crust. Okay. Rotting Jewels. Well, anyone else, you're going to have to drop your name in so I remember to say goodnight to you. Kit Kat was here earlier, and Yolanda, Critter Mama. Okay, everyone who's here, I truly appreciate you being here. If you're watching the replay, just let us know below. Okay, I'll know your name then, because I can't say hello to everybody who I don't even know who's watching yet. Can't jump to the future yet, but I'll meet you there. All right. So anyway, hey, God bless. If you're looking for info, check out the channel description. You'll find my link tree there. And other than that, hey, Kit Kat. I love you guys. See you next time. The very next show will probably be part 2. So we'll be catching up with this stuff. And I'll check y'all out later, okay? And I'm going to hug my kids. Hug my wife, but I don't have one. All right, hug your kids, hug your wives. We love you. And let's have a little party before we go. Let's see. I'm gonna do it like this. I'll put that up.
It was our job to help law enforcement.
I'm legally blind.
Prof is a fucking terrorist. A fucking pedophile, sympathizing fucking terrorist.
Oh my God! Bruh.
It was our job to help law enforcement.
Fuck you. 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 Fuck you.
Oh my God!
It was our job to help law enforcement.
Prof is a fucking terrorist.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Bruh.
It was our job to help law enforcement.
Oh my God!
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
It was our job to help law enforcement.
Oh my God! I'm legally blind.
Prof is a fucking terrorist. A fucking pedophile, sympathizing fucking
Bruh. I'm legally blind.
It was our job to help law enforcement.